What?
What is going on, everyone? It is College Football Talk. I'm your host, Hunter DeLauder, and today is Week 10 preview. We're very pleased to talk about the very first guest on the podcast. He is a diehard Gator fan. He will be giving out reasons why Florida has a chance. He will plus be around for all the other biggest games of the week, giving his thoughts and predictions. It is Mr. Christian Alvis. Christian, thanks for joining.
Thank you very much for having me. How's everyone doing today? Looking forward to getting down to some serious topics.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Talking some serious college football.
Oh, can't wait to have and hear your thoughts here today. I've seen some hints here pre-show here, and I'm very intrigued to see what you got.
I'm going to say some questionable things. I won't lie to you. I'm going to push some narratives here. That's my job, really, as a UF fan.
Do we need to put the TVMA sign up here?
It's possibility. Yeah.
Well, before we get into that, make sure you guys are subscribing to the podcast. We were trying to push to 200 subscribers, so the only way to do that is to hit that subscribe button below. If you're new around here, hit that subscribe button and tell anybody you know that is a college football fan, because you do not want to miss anything. If you're a reoccurring guest, thanks for coming back. Hit that like button and share as well. Find me on the socials at DeLauder Hunter on Twitter, Hunter.DeLauder83 on Instagram. Christian, do you have any socials you want anybody to get to?
Twitter and Instagram, Calvis2003. It mixes Christian and Alvis. Calvis.
There we go.
I'm debating changing my social handles to Gravy.
Okay.
But I don't know if at Gravy. That's got to be taken.
You
right?
might be competing with Young Gravy right there.
Oh, no, that's my worst fear. That's why the first time Bates called me a Gravy, it was Young Gravy. And he said I looked like Young Gravy. And the next day, I went and shaved my head and shaved all of my beard.
That was the sign right there.
And I came back to class. I was like, oh, he's not going to call me that again. And then he was like, just Gravy now, huh? And I was like, okay, I clearly can't avoid this.
Yes.
But I've grown to like the nickname Gravy.
Kind of just sticks.
Yeah.
Just flows, kind of like Gravy does.
It look kind of like Gravy does.
We had some questions. Do you want to wait till the end of the episode to do it, or do you want to get them out of the way?
What are you feeling? We can do questions now.
It's up to you.
Let's do questions.
All
now.
right, bet. So we're gonna start. We will get right into the cocktail party preview right before. We have some hot questions for Christian, because he is the first guest on College Football Talk with Hunter DeLauder. Make sure you guys are subscribing. And I have a couple things I wrote down for him to answer, and I'm gonna get right to it as soon as I get swiped through, because I write too much. Okay, so these are hot seat questions presented by nobody. So if you want to sponsor the show, be my guest. All right, Christian, can you give the viewers out there your major and what you want to do after school?
I am a sports journalism major, recent sports journalism major. I probably switched over from sports management about a year and a half ago now. So I've been loving it. I've been doing some social media things. So I'm hoping to venture more into that after college.
Awesome.
That's the goal.
And we know you're a UF fan, obviously. You have said that you grew up in Tally, so you're in Knoll territory right there.
Yes.
How does that?
It sucks.
How is that?
I'm not gonna lie to you. It's because I know the history of UF and know that we are a blue blood football program. I personally feel like we're the same as Georgia in the fact that I think we're a sleeping giant.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of time until we wake up, but it's gonna suck until we wake up.
Yeah.
You guys had to talk like you guys went through it. I'm not gonna act like you guys didn't do your time.
No.
But so when I was
4 years right there,
I was growing up, I was 10, 11. All the FSU fans were getting to see their team win the national championship, and I had to watch that, not getting any, especially
Jameis Winston.
Oh my gosh, Jameis Winston haunts my nightmares still. But I will say he's the only FSU player I've warmed up to since he got in the league.
I love Jameis Winston.
You can't dislike him. He's just a goofball. You can't dislike him.
He was saying the pre-interview, before the game the other day, it looked like he had rehearsed that in his head about 100 times before going out there.
He always thinks he's starring in a movie about himself when he's talking.
No, I gotta go help him out again. I'm strong, you strong.
And when he gets playing time, he assumes the weight of the world is on his shoulders.
It's so much. But hey, as a Steeler fan, I appreciate what he did, because now I have a game up on the Ravens thanks to his great performance.
It's always a joke until he comes out and balls for 350 passing yards. What, 3 passing touchdowns?
I think so. And you have that going on. You have Joe Flacco, just the immortal Joe Flacco. Bad timing if you're a Florida fan, because Anthony Richardson, I don't even know to rant on that one, because we don't need to agree to disagree. Overrated top 5 pick. in my eyes.
I think it would have benefited him a lot to come back and play college ball another year.
I mean, it's the Mitchell Trubisky experiment. Lack of
it's okay.
And I say in that sense, lack of playing time. Mitchell Trubisky only had 13 career starts, and he went top 10.
Mitchell Trubisky did not look
Anthony Richardson
as promising as
Anthony Richardson had how many starts? Just one full season? Because he had shared playing time with Emory Jones?
He split snaps with Emory, which I already thought was dumb. You're never going to be able to get a quarterback comfortable if you're just snip. I understand maybe bringing a player in, but it's the fact that he would play Emory like a whole game, and then he'd bring in AR, and you're like, oh, it's going to be some run play, and then he'd throw a 50-yard bomb over the top of the field, and you're like, why isn't this guy starting?
Yeah, I mean, I just thought that I don't know, the lack of experience. His just athlete alone, it's one of the best you'll see. But I don't need a guy to throw a ball 50 yards down the field every single throw. Make the easy throws look easy.
All the Florida fans knew his stock was going to rise after the combine.
I mean, he hit the ceiling of the facility, and they went top 3.
We knew we were just going to keep getting – all the Florida fans knew we were just going to keep getting notifications saying, combine record broken. Record. He is a freak athlete, but, the position of quarterback he could use some work at.
Maybe listen, Felipe Franks is a tight end now for the Panthers. Maybe it's time for.
I don't want to talk about Felipe Franks.
I mean, Arkansas legend Felipe Franks. Anyway,
Felipe Franks had to die so Kyle Trask could live.
Rip the Kentucky game that was. All right, here's your next big question. All right, if UF was guaranteed one win for the rest of eternity, it had to be either Georgia or FSU. Which one are you going to take?
So this is tough because I think for most Gator fans, the correct answer is Georgia. I'm not going to try to debate that. I think Florida and Georgia are both each other's biggest rivals, but they also have
Tennessee just sitting in the wings.
Yeah, it's like Florida's got Tennessee, Georgia's got big they're
South
all
Carolina's right there.
And then
Tennessee.
they also have their
Auburn,
still big secondary rivalry, which is you guys in Georgia Tech and us in FSU.
Honestly, Tech's just little brother at this point. I would say it's more. I mean, to be fair, Georgia's been so dominant the last few years that rivalries need to be competitive. Nobody's been competitive outside of Alabama. So, but I would say probably South Carolina or Auburn.
That's why I hate it seems like for Florida and FSU, we never get this cool back and forth anymore. It's always one team beats the other for half a decade.
That's kind
and then the other one does.
That was that's like Tennessee and Alabama, where Tennessee just dominated, and then Saban came, they won 15 straight, and now Tennessee's won 2 out of 3. So
yeah, Tennessee's starting to find a little stride, which hurts even more because we should have beat them. But
I mean, that's the Napier experience out there. But to be fair, people want to get mad at him. He did not fumble the football at the 1-yard line, so.
I hate to say it because it's the same thing that happened last year, and I know I shouldn't, but he's kind of pulling me back in. He's kind of pulling me back in, and
that meme. It's like, screw you, I'm out of here. I'll see you tomorrow, and he just kind of turns back in.
And you're like, well, let me just poke my head in the door. Let me just see what's happening in here.
God, just when you thought I was out,
I'm like, oh, we beat Kentucky by 30, eh?
But then Kentucky turns around.
Yeah, what the heck was that? We were
shout out Jarquez Hunter in Auburn, 287 yards, 3 touchdowns he had against the mighty Kentucky Wildcats.
R.I.P. Peyton Thorne. Peyton Thorne is going to have his Bo Nix era and go transfer to another school and just be amazing.
Always remember his legacy season he had at Michigan State when Jordan Addison was there, and they went and did they win the Peach Bowl? They played Pitt. I got to check back on that one, but. I mean, what a season that was. And then he transferred to Auburn, and let's just say it's not been very good. All right, we've got your natty prediction now. Mid-season there. I guess we're a little past the mid-season point here, but what about we got 4 weeks left here?
I think, yeah. No.
3?
5.
5.
Yeah, we have 5 games left. Everyone's played, or I guess there's bye weeks, but everyone's played 7 games. We've played 7 games. And you guys have played 7 games. I think if I were to pick a team to win the national championship, it would be a team that currently has a loss.
That's you narrowing the field.
Because I mean, who doesn't have a loss? It's
Oregon, Indiana, BYU.
Who's Army? Who's top 3? It's Oregon, and Penn State.
Oregon and Penn
UGA.
UGA.
Yeah,
Georgia's second, but sandwiched in the middle. Penn State, Oregon, both are undefeated. Watch out for the fighting Sigs, though.
I think when it comes down to it, Ohio State's just going to keep finding ways to win football games.
I'm worried about Ohio State, and I'll talk about them when we get there.
I think they're just going to keep finding ways to win football games.
I don't know. They barely squeaked by as a 26-point favorite last week, and the lack of run game. They're injured up on the right now.
You're right, but then we watched them go toe-to-toe with Oregon.
And honestly,
in a game they probably should have won.
In the secondary, but the secondary's been picked on. They play a lot of man-to-man, and their corners haven't been holding up well. They went into that as the number one total defense in the country and got burned to shreds by Dylan Gabriel. I don't know. The defense isn't what they're building up to be. The pass rush is fine, but like the secondary isn't up to what they were hyped up to be. They're not running the ball effectively enough with Junkins and Henderson. They should be.
They have two of the best running backs in the country.
If
Maybe
they can't run the ball, if they weren't playing Nebraska, and let's say they were playing, I don't know, any other team. Let's say they play Penn State this week, and they only run the ball for 60 yards. Do we trust Will Howard to go down the field and win a game like that? I don't know. That's what I'm concerned about there.
I also just want to quickly take back the statement I just made when I said Ohio State may have the best two running backs in the country. I did forget about Ashton Genty for like a hot second there.
Ashton Genty, Heisman candidate coming up.
Should be Heisman favorite.
So you like Ohio State still?
Yeah, I think.
Who do you see in the Natty right now?
In the Natty, I would honestly say I'd love to see an Ohio State-Oregon rematch. That was a fun game to watch.
Have you seen the Oregon, the Big Ten championship doomsday scenario that Oregon doesn't get in and could still be number one?
Oh, yeah, because Indiana and BYU could get in.
Indiana and Penn State could get in because they would have strength of record and margin of victory of some sort if they both beat Ohio State. So if they all three end up undefeated by the end of the year, Indiana and Penn State, by basis of like margin of victory and like strength of schedule or something stupid, would have the tiebreaker over Oregon.
That's insane.
Which would actually be kind of nice because Oregon would get the 5. They would play.
How do none of those teams play each other?
That's just how the cookie
Indiana,
crumbles.
Penn State, Oregon. I don't like that. I don't like that none of them.
Just how the cookie crumbles. All right. So you like Ohio State.
I do.
And then Heisman pick wise, who do you like right now as your favorite to win it, plus your runner up?
So until about 2 weeks ago, I was really on the train of I don't know if you can give the Heisman to anyone except Travis Hunter, because he week in and week out is a top 5 receiver and a top 5 corner in college football, which is insane. Not to mention, they said he's averaging 123 snaps a game. That's insane.
That's conditioning right there.
And don't get me wrong, his stats are insane. But at the same time, I mean, Genty might be going for who is it? Is it
they talked about it yesterday on the Josh Pate show. Shout out Josh Pate College Football Show.
Is that a Pate State hat?
A Pate State
Oh,
hat
I love that.
Just came in a couple weeks ago.
I love Josh because he's usually pretty high on the Gators. He's got a 17 in the JP poll. I watched that last night.
But he said Genty has doubled up the past other running backs like Henry, Ingram, Bush, who all won it. He's doubled them up in yardage at this point in the season. Like he's at what? I think he's at 1,300 yards right now rushing, and Derrick Henry was next highest, like 950.
The record, it's Bo Jackson, right?
Barry Sanders.
Barry Sanders. That's what I was thinking of. Okay.
The single season record.
They said he's on pace to where he could break it.
He's on pace to smoke it. I think he had he's on pace for like 2,400 yards, something like that.
I don't understand how you can't give the Heisman.
And he's especially second in rushing touchdowns.
And it's not like Boise State is just like 4-3. Like they're a top 20 team.
Yeah, and they had a big win. On yours truly had them on the money line last weekend against UNLV.
Not to mention they competed with Oregon.
They lost on a walk-off field goal.
Yeah, exactly.
And Genty had 140 yards rushing, I think, somewhere around there.
It's like, how can you not think that guy's going to win the Heisman when you go look at a gambling app and his line is like 186 all-purpose yards?
I think it's more just because Heisman. None of these archaic Heisman voters, they're just as bad as Hall of Fame voters in the MLB.
Dylan Gabriel, he's a great quarterback.
I don't think, and Pate made a great point last night on the show, but like are they going to have enough people? Is he going to have enough people watching him live? It's one thing to watch like a SportsCenter highlight, watch it a YouTube clip, but like watching him live, like that UNLV game, I watched the game, like,
are they going to have any big games the rest of the year?
UNLV was the big one, and honestly, they really don't. I mean, San Diego State's a decent team, but like they're nothing special. So like the rest of the way, not maybe until the Mountain West title game again. But he may not just have enough people watching his games.
Yeah, they don't really have a lot of challenges. The rest they end with Oregon State,
which is
who I don't
okay
know
a team.
Yeah, they're 4-4.
I mean, record the adage you are what your record says you are isn't living up.
I mean, they're clearly the best team in the conference by far.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, UNLV is really good, and they had a couple missed opportunities.
So if they're a group of 5. So if they win their conference tournament, they're in.
Yes, unless like Army keeps winning because they're in the American too. So,
but it's the highest rated group of 5 conference champion, right?
Yes. So like realistically, Boise needs to lose. If Army wants to backdoor in, they need Boise to lose because Army's the next highest.
Because I think even if Boise wins, even if Army goes undefeated but Boise wins out, they're going to put Boise in.
Well, it'd be because Boise would be the highest ranked team right now at this point, which would be fine. I mean, hopefully they play a team that can stop the run. All right, so you like Hunter and your runner-up be Genty?
Opposite.
So you like Genty?
I like Genty, my runner-up. I was on Hunter until like 2 weeks ago, and then I was watching Genty, and I'm like, I just can't not. He like it was 2 weeks ago when he rushed for like 200 yards.
Even last week, he had 128 yards. He did average only like 3.5 yards a carry, but a tough
128 yards is an off game for this guy.
Yeah, and he was limited and got banged up like I think halfway through the second. He had like a wrist problem, but
in 120 yards, he probably put it in the end zone twice, something like that.
I think he had one. He had one called back. He had one other one though. So.
He's a beast.
He's a beast. All right, so it's time now. Thank you for playing hot seat questions. It is time now as we get into Week 10 preview. As I take a sip from the Yeti.
This is the big one. This is host versus guest right now.
Yes, of course. Neutral site, of course. I still think it should be. I can ask you this actually. So there is reports before we get into this that they're expected to make a decision this week on where the 26 and 27 game will be played because of they're doing reconstruction at is it TIA still or is it Everbank now? Which one is it? It's TIA, isn't it?
I think it's TIA Everbank. I think it's they're merged.
So they're both. So congrats. I mean, it's just as terrible as the team. Anyway, they're doing reconstruction on it. And so I think what I read yesterday was that they're expected to come to a decision where it'll be in Atlanta and Raymond James and Tampa.
Dumb.
Thank you. I've been preaching home and home.
Look, even at a point, like Atlanta is like, you could make an argument for Tampa. Atlanta is just a home game for y'all. It's literally just a home game.
Georgia's supposed to play Georgia Tech there next year.
How far is Athens from Atlanta?
90 miles.
Like, what? I mean, I guess Tampa's probably only like 100 miles from here. Like, it's not like it's that big of a difference, but it just feels the state of Georgia feels like it envelops everything. Yeah. And as soon as you put that game in Atlanta, you're like, oh, well, that's just a home game.
I know Georgia fans hate neutral site games. They don't like playing at the Dome. They would rather play home and home anywhere. Like the Clemson game, they weren't fans of.
Calling the Dome a neutral site game is crazy to me.
And they play even like next year. Georgia Tech has a 6-year deal with Mercedes-Benz Stadium to have a game there at least once a year. Like they play Notre Dame there this year. They play Georgia there next year. Georgia fans are pissed. They invade Bobby Dodd anyway. They call it Sanford South for a reason because it's all red. But it's like, what are we doing? Like make it home and home. This is even Georgia Tech fans are probably more mad because it steals a home game.
There's no point to not do a home and home. You're gonna probably go back to doing the games in Jacksonville as soon as it's done. So why not just give the fans a treat and do a home and home?
I had preached this. Kirby Smart wants it to be home and home because he wants recruits there because he can't bring a recruit. They can come to the game, but they can't. They're not like on the field doing all the hoopla because he said something a couple years ago like Auburn, Alabama. This is the biggest game. They're home and home. LSU, Alabama. That's home and home.
We're one of the only ones that do.
Florida State, Florida, home and home.
Home and home. Yeah, we're one of the only ones that does their big rivalry. I mean, can you think of anyone else that's consistently doing it at a neutral site?
Army, Navy, but like
that barely counts.
Still sweet though.
Oh, it's
Alabama,
fun.
Tennessee. Third Saturday in October. They're not home and home.
Yeah, they are.
I meant like they are home and home. I was getting off topic. But trying to think. I don't really think there's anybody else.
No, which is why I mean it's
money.
I like that
Strickland wants money, and that's why he won't change it.
Look, if you're expecting me to defend Scott Strickland, you're not gonna get that.
I just want it to be home and home. I've said this to people that are here, that are anywhere else. Can you imagine Georgia fans coming up to Gainesville? It would start a war. There would probably be a lot of blood somewhere. A lot of red in the stadium.
Is it like it's like you're not even joking?
No, I'm swear to God, the Georgia fans travel. I have a funny story I could tell here, but and then you imagine like Florida fans going up to Sanford, up there, like up into Athens, like that, bonkers, absolute bonkers. Both cities would collapse for the weekend. The environments you could take, both teams could be winless going into the games. You would have all hell breaking.
It'd still be sold out.
Oh my God, it would be crazy how well that would do. And they would talk about money. The only people that they've been making money is just the city of Jacksonville. Luke Law, they have the Jaguars, and I think the Jumbo Shrimp are up there. So
the Jumbo Shrimp, yeah.
Shout out the Jumbo Shrimp.
Shout out you know who else? Shout out the Jacksonville Sharks. They have an indoor team.
Jacksonville University, the Dolphins are up there. North Florida's up there. They're fine.
I think we've run out of teams.
I think we have.
That's
okay.
That's all Jacksonville has.
That's Duval for you. Anyway, I just want it to be home and home, but it's not.
Nothing will ever annoy me more than when I'm at the UGA game and there's just a fan in the corner like, and I'm like, I don't like you.
You're like, you have so many things wrong with you.
Your NFL team is 2-6. All right, calm down.
Yeah, they I don't know, but like, so I talk about Georgia fans traveling. I know we're getting way off topic here, but I really don't care because it's my podcast, so I don't care. Anyway, me and my girlfriend were going up. So we go up to Dockside up in Jacksonville. Shout out Dockside. Great place.
Shout out Dockside.
Outstanding seafood and peanut butter pie. We're going up there this weekend. Anyway, I'm telling her she's wearing her Florida stuff because she goes to Florida. Avid Georgia fan here. But I remain neutral when we're on the podcast.
It's nice to know that your woman's smarter than you.
She is in the nursing program here. She does have the brains. Anyway, so she has her Florida stuff on. We're going for dinner. I have my Georgia shirt on. And I'm just warning you. Because I've been to neutral sites in Charlotte for the Clemson game. I've been to Atlanta for Oregon. I'm just warning you, like, Georgia fans travel. I'm telling you right now, they travel.
Was this her first game?
This is her first time, like, going to the cocktail bar. It was my first time, too.
Okay.
This is only my third time I'll be going this weekend. I'm just warning you, like, there's going to be a lot of Georgia fans here. Like, they travel, just on, So we get there. We're getting up to the, pulling into, like, the area. And it's kind of parking there's an ass. But, where am I? Anyway, we're looking around, and she's like, I don't see a Florida car or anything like that. I'm like, I told you. And so we're finding a spot. It's just littered with Georgia fans. And so we start walking up, and this place is really good. And so that means there's a long line. This line popping out of the door, it's like a half-hour wait. We don't care. Like, it's just kind of like you kind of wait in line, you go in order, sit down, and all that. And she's like, there's so many Georgia fans here. I said, yeah, I told you that. She's like, where are the Florida fans? Like, we're in the state of Florida. I said, I told you they travel. And it was 90% Georgia fans.
What year was this?
2022.
Yeah. I mean, was that the year we got killed like 32-0?
No, it was 42.
Or was that 21?
That was when Florida cut it to 8 in the third quarter.
Oh, yeah. That's actually how I don't know if people can.
Yeah, that phone is broken right
There's
there.
a massive crack on my phone from whenever it was. I visibly remember a ball getting tossed in the air and our defender like smacking it around.
Shout out Brock Bowers.
Falling into Brock Bowers' hand. And I'm not really a guy who will throw things, but I took my phone and went,
smashed that thing.
Slammed it as hard as I could into the ground. And like, imagine how much of an idiot I would have been if we would have won. I have a shattered phone.
At least your phone still works, though.
Oh, yeah. No, it works. That was 2 years ago. So.
You're still holding strong here.
Yeah.
But the moral of the story is dogs travel. They always travel, no matter where they are. Shout out the Rose Bowl 2017. You can take a look there. All right. Enough of the pre-cursing stuff or whatever I just said. Anyway.
Let's talk ball.
Let's talk some ball. Anyway. So, Florida, Georgia, cocktail party, the 103rd edition. Don't listen to what Florida fans say. They don't count one of the games because they lost.
I believe we claim it's the 102nd.
It's the 103rd. Winners get to say because Georgia leads the all-time series. I think you have that written down. Anyway, Georgia, I'll see.
I didn't want to know.
Georgia is a 16.5-point favorite as of right now, as of writing this. Over-under 52. All right. Usually I just kind of dive. I go team by team. What are the keys going into this? I'll ask you first here. We'll start with the Georgia team. What do you see Georgia needing to do to win this game?
Okay. I think it's very simple. Georgia just needs to not turn the ball over. I think Carson Beck has consistently in his career been a guy who we saw last year. He's usually pretty efficient and pretty safe with the ball. And there's just been a couple games this year where that's just kind of left him for whatever reason. And it feels like he's maybe trying to force stuff a little bit more. And as long as he's just safe with the ball, Georgia's probably going to cruise.
I saw that as like a key for Florida because Beck has 8 picks in his last 3 games. Like he's been very careless with the football, partly because drops have been a massive issue on this receiving group. Tip throws, so high and missed throws by Beck himself. Like there's some throws he's been making that's like, where are you throwing it? And they've resulted in turnovers. I mean, the Mississippi State game, he had 1 in the red zone. Texas, first 2 were like, I'm like, where are you throwing them, dude? And then it's just, I'm like, I don't know. I think Ice came up with this idea on the preview or the recap after the Texas game. I think he's just playing with too much pressure on him. Came into this season as possibly the number 1 overall pick in the draft, like first round, almost lock that everyone was saying. I just think he's playing too much pressure and maybe possibly just he hasn't found that security blanket that Brock Bowers or Ladd McConkey were. So someone's got to step up still. But again, I just also find it crazy that Georgia offensively is 6-1. And offensively, they haven't even hit that gear yet.
That's why I'm worried. That's
like
why I'm worried.
At any moment, like we saw the defense come into gear. I said this, like I have the clip there, but like they have defense came into gear against Texas.
Agreed.
Now it's just almost a matter of time is when's the Georgia one going to wake up? You talk about sleeping giants, that offense, that's still top 20 in the country in scoring.
Here's what I see as a problem. I don't know why. Actually, I do know why. Kirby just really loves to beat Florida. But
as a former player, yes, he would.
You guys never have your turn your brain off game against us. It's never the game when, like Kentucky earlier this year, like what was it, 13-12?
Yes. And
what?
So to be fair, and I heard this bluegrass theory from some other people in the College of Journalism that were talking about this. Georgia has last 3 times in Kentucky has failed to score more than 20 points. And Christian, can you tell me 2022 when Georgia scored 16 against them and won? What happened that year?
When Georgia scored,
they won 16-6 in Lexington.
I believe you guys ended up winning the national championship.
And what was the record that year?
I believe you guys may or may not have went undefeated.
Yeah. So even COVID year, 14-6 they won. So, but
that's wild.
Last year at Kentucky came to Athens. You know what the score was? You know how many points Georgia put on him? 51.
How many did Kentucky score?
13.
No Ray Davis legacy game there.
Ray Davis was held to under 50 yards, I think, that game.
Add on.
What happened last year, Kentucky, when Florida went to Kentucky?
Well, I actually don't really remember that because, what was it, 2 weeks ago, we actually destroyed Kentucky. I think that's all.
And that's what matters.
You're right. That's what matters. You're right. That's what
We're
matters.
turning the page on this season.
But this year, played a close game against Kentucky.
That's right. It's that classic at Lexington.
I love to play the distributive property.
And what happened against Clemson, though?
Actually, I even put in my notes. I think Clemson just had a bad game. Clemson played really good since that game.
To be fair, though, Clemson, we'll talk about them coming up.
You guys might just be really good.
Well, Louisville, they're playing Louisville this week. Louisville will be
you can't move your mouth when you say it.
Louisville. They are probably the toughest team that Clemson's played since that game.
The ACC is just a joke. It's like, Miami doesn't play a single ranked team.
Yeah, until they'll probably play. I mean, although this
until the ACC championship.
Well, Pitt and SMU play this week they're the last two, or they're playing I think they're undefeated both in conference play. Yeah, they're both undefeated in conference play. SMU lost to BYU, so I mean that is still wide open. So I guess it's not a foregone conclusion, but
yeah. Okay, I won't crap on the ACC too much longer.
There we go. Not until rivalry week.
Not until
there you go. For me, I think Florida or Georgia needs to limit deep shots. Lagway wants to throw the ball down the field. He wants to push it down the field with DK and Badger.
He may have one of the prettiest deep balls.
It's a very nice deep ball. There is a great film breakdown that Brooks Austin does. And he was doing the Kentucky game pretty much. And he was just like, this is a really nice deep ball. Like, this is an offense coordinator's dream. Like, he can run the ball. He can use his legs really well. He could throw a really great ball. And he does a great job keeping his eyes down the field. Even when he's under pressure. Like, even when he's moving laterally and stuff, throwing the ball down the field, what he wants to do. So Georgia needs to not take the eye candy because Florida does what I think a lot of like Texas does. They want to get people in motion. Jet sweep motions are a fan favorite with Florida. And so
I don't want to talk
eye
about
candy is going to be a massive thing. So staying spot, not getting pulled in, because you watch the Kentucky game, they got suckered in like crazy, which allowed for a lot of those deep shots to be hit. I just think no explosive plays, don't be getting caught with the eye candy and limiting deep shots, putting pressure on Lagway is going to be massive in this game as well.
It's like the reason why I'm not going to touch minus 16.5. Let's be honest here. All right. The UF offense has been looking good over the past few weeks. I've very much enjoyed it. Kentucky. It looks good over the past week.
Just Kentucky.
And we look good against UCF.
UCF just fired the VC though.
Oh, that's not good. And I do think if Mert played the whole Tennessee game, we would have won. I will say that. I think if he played that whole game, we would have won. We are giving Kirby Smart one of the
2 weeks to prep.
One of the
freshman quarterback,
college minds in football to prep for a true freshman who already has not been the most calm and collected under the blitz.
No, he has made some careless
terrifying.
Throws. That's what also I like, because this isn't. All respect to Tennessee, they're not a top 50 pass rush statistically. No. Really good front with Pierce and company, but I mean, this is one of the best this is one of the better pass rushers. So they're not top 10, but they are. I believe I wrote this down.
Also,
they're the 48th in sacks.
Kentucky was top 10 in both when we beat them.
That's true.
But then Auburn.
But like this isn't like this is a pass rush like Jalen Walker, Mykel Williams, Tyron Ingram Dawkins, Chaz Chambliss, just on the ends alone.
Everyone you just named is probably going to go within the first 2 rounds of the NFL draft at some point in their career. Is probably
possibly go. Chaz Chambliss, maybe not, but shout out. That's I'm not gonna. He's cracker of the day, Antonio Brown. Damon Wilson though, coming from the linebacker spot, and then up middle, they're getting Jordan Hall back with Christian Miller and Warren Brinson there. Stackhouse as well. Shout out. Nazir Stackhouse went to the same high school that Jayden Ball went to.
I thought you were going to say as Jerry Stackhouse for whatever reason.
No, right. But I just think getting pressure, making things uncomfortable for the freshmen. And we've seen what has been the kryptonite the Georgia teams have faced when it comes to beating them. Elite quarterback play.
Yeah.
And
it's gonna have to be a game where if you want to see Florida, not even talking about win, just compete, like DJ is gonna have to have a game.
And even it was crazy. He only completed 7 passes against Kentucky.
Yeah, and he passed for 270 yards.
Something like that. I mean, Badger had 148 yards on 3 catches.
So, okay. Speaking of that, I'd like to take this time to tell you, Hunter, I have a fear that's been in the back of my mind.
Let's hear this.
That I've told a couple people.
Uh-oh.
And I don't even really want to put it out there.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's not like he's so young, right? So there's not a lot of weight to this yet. But I have a very deep fear. What if DJ Lagway is just Joe Milton?
Now, see,
I have thought terrifying thought.
I'm thinking Nico Maliava might be that. Missing deep throws, missing the easy throws.
But that's not Joe Milton. Joe Milton was a laser from deep. And he just couldn't hit. No, but his prettiest thing was his deep ball. And then it was the fact that you talked to Joe Milton and his coach was like, this kid is going to be able to hit someone on a line from 60 yards out. But if you give him a 10-yard drag route, he's missing it by a mile.
It's still early for Lagway. Although, to be fair, he has been inconsistent. He has 5 touchdowns. He already has 5 picks, though, in the season. And that's been with, not even,
he has played in every game. No, he's played in every game.
That's true, too. I forgot that they're playing the 2 quarterback system, which doesn't work, folks.
He saw a lot of time against Samford.
Through 2 picks against A&M.
He saw a decent amount of time against A&M.
Through 2 picks.
Decent amount of time against UCF. Decent amount of time against Tennessee. That
was a bad pick. He threw
that was bad, and that sucks because I think that was just like a freshman mistake. Because if you go back and watch that play, he had probably 30 yards of space to the right that he could have just
and that's
took
just
off.
And you've seen that with Dylan Raiola too. Like these guys, these freshman studs,
I want to see him
freshman growing pains.
I want to see him get more comfortable with his legs because he was the number 1 rated dual threat guy in the country.
There were some plays he made where he's able to know when to use them to get down or to just take those extra couple yards.
I think it was the first play against Kentucky, and it was his first SEC start, and he ran the ball and he took it over to the right, and he faked in and juked out 2 defenders, and then took the ball for 15 yards, and I was like, oh, the Lagway era has started.
There we go. I think one other key for Georgia, they need to run the football. This is a Trevor Etienne legacy game on tap here. Had one against A&M or Texas, and they still didn't run the ball enough. Georgia ranks 95th in rushing, but it's like that ranking feels like almost false to a sense because they just aren't running the ball enough. Like Etienne hasn't rushed for over 20 carries yet this year. And that's just been by committee, but also like he's your lead guy. Like he's shifty in the run game. He had one move against Alabama that saved him on a 4th down. He made LT Overton fall on his face. It was so fun. But like he's shifty, he's quick, and he's great in the pass game. Like get him more touches. Like he has to be essential in this. And again, and Florida is 94th against the run. They have played a lot better since the bye. I don't know what kind of black magic they were brewing.
This defense is just
so
night
weird.
and day.
It's wild. It's almost too good to be true, and it feels like.
The thing is, they've played 3 teams that like UCF. Everyone was talking about their run game, and then we stuffed RJ Harvey. So I was real happy.
Yeah,
about
he only
that.
rushed for like 75 yards.
And then, you said that like it was an insult. Like, yeah, you guys stuffing him is like 75 yards.
No, we talked about he was coming in they were averaging almost 300 yards a game.
And then shut down a Tennessee offense who played pretty. I mean, it's like you look at the Arkansas game.
Had over 100 yards.
Yeah, but holding them to nothing in the whole first half.
Yeah,
is crazy.
And that's been so wonky with Tennessee. Just like their offensive, like just.
They've got a real Jekyll and Hyde situation going on over there.
Is it more just that they played Kent State and UT Chattanooga?
You're like, is it just the fact that they're bad at football?
I don't know if they're bad at football because thank God their defense is relevant because otherwise they would have been smoked by Bama. But here we go. Here's Florida's last 4 games against SEC opponents. We'll start with the A&M game. A&M, they allowed 310 yards on the ground, almost 6 yards to carry. Mississippi State, 240 yards on the ground. That was 4.3 yards to carry. Tennessee, 138 yards. This is post-bye, though. Actually, Mississippi State was post-bye, right?
No.
That was pre-bye. That was right before
pre-bye.
So this is post-bye now. Tennessee, 138 yards on 3.5 yards to carry. And then Kentucky, 144 yards on 4 yards to carry. So it's improved, but it's still there for the taking.
Yes.
And that's why I just want to see Etienne feed him the rock. All due respect to Desmond Watson, he's not anything crazy.
Desmond Watson,
a fan favorite.
Is the best interior D lineman.
He's Jabba the Hutt. Nobody can tell me otherwise. And
I do really like our D line.
Tyreek Sapp, Cam Jackson's been playing a lot better. You have Gums and Pyford on the back.
Gums has been criminally underrated.
Shamar James on the outside, right there in that second level.
Not to mention another slept-on man, Jack Pyburn.
Yes,
has been playing some ball recently. I'm here for it.
The D-line has played really good up to late. I just want to see now you're going up against Georgia's getting, I think, Ratledge back this week.
We're getting Jason Marshall Jr. back
on the outside. So yeah, you're going to like that. And that's why I think Florida's got to have to make some mistakes, force Carson back to throw some picks, force some uncomfortable spots. I mean,
I also feel like Florida fans can't go into this expecting too much because like we're still such a young team.
You mean Gator season posted on Twitter that this is the most talented team since 2020. They're 4-3 this year.
I mean, all our 3 losses are all the top 15 teams. We lose to you guys, we're gonna have all of our.
So I guess you're beating teams you're supposed to. I guess. In this
but I mean, yeah, but like,
what's
that
false? Is that false? Almost like giving you false confidence.
You know what? You know what really sucks is we could lose 7 games and lose all 7 games to teams in the top 20.
So I guess you're losing teams that you're supposed to.
I don't know, but
I mean, I don't know.
You are right. Like it's not like we're favored in any of these games, but like you have to be able to. The Tennessee one is such a good example of just
you had to steal that.
I believe we saw 4 red zone opportunities in the first half, and Tennessee saw. It was either 0 or 1 because I don't know whether they fumbled the ball on the first drive outside of the 20 or not. But
I think it was.
We had so many opportunities we just didn't cap. Also, the biggest ever gaslighting of a fan base I've seen by a coach is Billy Napier not running the QB sneak on a 4th and 1.
Don't you like jet sweeps more?
And I also understand that was a freshman mistake because that was clearly an option where DJ could have kept that ball and ran it. And I don't blame him because also I didn't think it was a great play call. You should have QB sneaked it. You did it like 3 plays earlier to get a 3rd and 1.
Yep.
And I think that was the smart move. And then You proceed to hustle Graham Mertz out there to go run the QB sneak on the 1. You're on the 1 yard line. Everyone knows you're going to run the ball. It changes nothing whether you have Mertz or Lagway out there. Why wouldn't you put out your 6'4", 230-pound mobile QB
Or
to
why
just
are you rushing anyway? If you're not up against the clock, why are you rushing?
just give the ball? I don't think Montrell had been injured. Even if he had, just give it to Jaden Ball.
Yeah.
It's not complicated.
Run the ball.
We saw. I need a shirt that says "Run the ball." I love that saying. I saw someone put it on Twitter, and then I immediately was like, "I'm going to say this." You know where you
can find that is Etsy.
Oh yeah. You're right.
Shout out Etsy.
But it's like, especially when we saw us do it like 4 times or 5 times.
Five.
And I think all of his touchdowns were within like the 10-yard line.
And that's a top 20 rushing defense.
Right they were top 10.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Thank you, Auburn. Actually, no, not thank you, Auburn. You guys made our win look a lot less important.
There you go. And so that's why actually leads me to my final thing for Florida. They need to run the ball. I think Montrell Johnson's out still, right?
What's crazy is I
didn't see anything because haven't released the injury report yet as of right now, but
I haven't been the biggest fan of either of our 2 starting running backs.
Is that because Etienne was a missing hole right now?
No.
That's not what Napier said.
What are you talking about?
Napier said he missed him.
I haven't. Did Napier say he missed him?
I think, yeah.
He's a loser. No. I have been more interested in watching Jaden Ball and Jacoby Jackson run the ball than Montrell Johnson and Treon Webb.
I think they have to be a factor in this because if you can run the ball, you take pressure off your freshman quarterback who now doesn't have to put on a Superman cape. But that also goes in line with falling behind early. I have the note card.
Oh, no.
Fast starts are going to be important here for Florida. Well, in theory,
saw the note card pregame.
He did.
I didn't like the looks of it.
He didn't, and that's just okay. Because so Florida, outside of in the Kirby Smart era, we're going to go in line here. They have to have a fast starter. Fast starts are going to be critical in sustaining a lead of some sort because they haven't been able to. In all but 2 games they've won, and even in those they trailed. Fast start's going to help out with running the football too, sustaining drives, time of possession game. I think keeping Georgia's offense off the field, sustaining drives. Here we go. Since 2016, when they won, Kirby Smart's first year that way. 2017, 42-7 they lost, never led. 2018, 14-13 they led. Where's your applaud?
You haven't finished your
statement. That's right. They led for 3 minutes in that game before Georgia took the lead and never gave it back. That was a loss, by the way. 2019, lost, never led. 2020, down 21-14, came back and won.
Down 14-0.
14-0. Stetson Bennett did get hurt. We had to put in DeJuan Mathis. I don't want to remember
Stetson Bennett would have still got cooked that game.
I thought he was playing well. I think he was playing well.
I believe he threw an interception before he got injured, unless I'm wrong.
I think he was hurt on the play, though.
I need to pull up.
Nonetheless, DeJuan Mathis came in, and we don't, as Georgia fans know, DeJuan Mathis is something they should be deleted permanently from the memory bank.
Yeah, he wasn't that good at
he was
football.
Not good at anything. No, he got pulled in the first game against Arkansas, and Stetson Bennett had come in and play savior. Because if we remember, JT Daniels was still injured coming off of ACL injury.
Stetson Bennett in the 2020 game before getting injured was 5 of 16 with 78 yards, a touchdown, interception.
And I think the interception came on the injury. What was DeJuan Mathis?
4 for 13, 34 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions.
So, I mean, it didn't get any better.
And then also, I mean, you go look at the other
Shout out Packer legend, though, Eric Stokes on a pick 6.
Hey, Eric Stokes. I love Eric Stokes.
Told you.
And then the other thing I will look at with this game.
Kyle Pitts getting the boom.
You got to give him his respect here. Kyle Trask.
Elite quarterback. College elite quarterback.
500 yards in this game.
Yeah.
People forget Kyle Trask was finished top 4 in Heisman voting in 2020. He went to the ceremony.
Yeah. He was on the Zoom call.
He was 4th. Don't get me wrong. He was 4th. But
I mean, it's still a finalist.
Kyle Pitts only had 2 catches in this game, and those 2 catches
because Lewis Cine laid the boom.
Yeah, because you're a dirty team is what happened. He got called. He got tossed immediately. It was the definition of targeting.
Listen, as a Steeler fan, it gave me Steel Curtain vibes, so I appreciated it.
The thing is too is there were he caught 2 passes in that game, and I think if you just
one of them was a touchdown though, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think if you just watch that game, you could make an argument for Kyle Pitts to get drafted top 5. Those 2 catches were both insane. Yeah, he was highest drafted Titan of all time, number 4.
I'm sure Falcons fans love that. Anyway, back to this montage here. 21. You know what the score of that game was?
I believe it was 32-3.
34-7, and we can talk about the 3-0 that turned into 24-0 in about 2 minutes. Anthony Richardson legacy game. That game, Florida never led in that game. It was 2022. Florida cut it close in the second half, but Christian
Hunter was sweating in that second quarter.
I was sweating, but Christian did Florida lead in that game.
Florida did not lead in that
game.
Did
I not lead? That means they lost the game. And in 2023, though, they finally did something they haven't done.
We had a lead, baby.
Since 2020, they had a lead for 10 minutes in the first quarter where they led 7-0, and then inevitably gave up a 41-yard touchdown to Glad McConkey and lost the game. That we gave up 36 unanswered after that, and the Gators lost. So what is the main central idea here that you take away from that? What I just said about 5 minutes ago.
I understand what you said, but I think the thing we need to think about is Florida's just not built to play from behind. they have to get out to a lead early.
And I've said this on the podcast in prior episodes with them losing to A&M, losing to Miami. It's just not an offense built to play from behind. They want to run the ball. They want to take their shots when they're there, but they're not trying to stretch the field. They want to run the ball and just play, kind of eat clock and just play from ahead.
I don't think we in any of our 4 wins, I don't think we were behind even one point of the game.
And so if you're playing from ahead, that's awesome. But against better competition and just in general, even years prior, when you're playing from behind, they're just not sustainable. They just can't come back. And it's just,
and to be fair,
just how the offense is. The offense isn't bad if you really just dive into the scheme and everything. It's not bad, but the execution and falling behind, partly because the defense has been so terrible, has been a Achilles heel for Florida.
You have to be an elite college football team to have the ability to play from behind.
Yeah.
That is so tough to do, to just be able to even get in your guys' heads and just not have them mentally shut down.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what's been so great in this run that Georgia's been on. They've been down big, and they have never sweat, and they just make it. Either they come back, take the lead, and win, or they fall behind because Julian Humphreys just does this on Ryan Williams, and they don't do anything.
I live bet them down 28-0, $5 to win 160.
Well,
and I was jumping for the only time I've ever jumped for joy.
You want to hear a video here?
The only time I've ever jumped for joy when Georgia had. Were you at the game?
No, God, no. Are you kidding me? No, this is I have a video of when they scored the touchdown to take the lead. Oh.
Turn it to me.
We are back.
Is your face? I need to see your face. Do you have one after? Do you have one after the Bama touchdown?
So after that, I sit down. I'm like, just don't let him score. Just get a stop.
How much time was there left?
2:40. Just don't get a stop. And then they scored in the next play. And I wasn't even sad. And then I was like, all right, we just go back down the field. And then he threw the pick. And I was like, they can't beat Bama. They can't. They did it again.
That's the same
but
thing.
I also was proud of the fact that they even made it a fight, because they could have easily lost. And it could have been just terrible. But they came back. They took the lead. I just like the boys fighting right there. I love it.
Carson Beck threw 3 interceptions, and you guys still beat Texas by 2 scores.
And he still set a career high before 2 weeks later after that, setting the new high in Mississippi State.
How are we expecting to win this game if Carson Beck throws 3 picks in a game and they still beat Texas by 2 touchdowns? You saw the picture of Arch and Quinn sitting next to each other on the bench.
I wrote a mini.
They were just like.
I wrote a mini article for a class, but also saved it. It's on the LinkedIn. Shout out Hunter DeLauder on LinkedIn. You could find it there. There's the photo. It's a tweet of that, and just embed it, and it's just like the Jalen Walker effect. And all right. Nonetheless, though, what is your score prediction time? Because we got to move on.
I am going to say I'd be a bad fan if I didn't predict Florida to win, so I'm going to go ahead and do that.
You could always just take them to cover.
No.
So is this either like Florida backdoors and covers if they're not winning, or they get blown out?
That's not an option, actually.
Oh, that's true.
Florida's winning this football game.
Okay.
My favorite actually tradition is me and my cousin FaceTime each other 2 weeks before the game starts, like 2 weeks before the season starts.
Yeah.
And we'll always say we're going to be really realistic with our prediction, and it's always 16-0 and winning the national championship. We always just talk each other into winning every single game. I'm going to say this is a defensive-oriented game, and we see that this defense that Florida has been putting on the field recently is not a fluke.
No.
This is an elite defense we're seeing. I don't know what happened to change that. from the first couple weeks.
They simplified the scheme because they were just throwing out every known man of scheme that has ever been created. They were trying to use, and that's what results in missed assignments, looking lost, and just not getting anything, and getting targeting calls on the butt cheeks.
Florida Gators 27.
Okay.
UGA.
Okay.
21.
Okay. So you have a Lagway play late or a turnover or something?
Actually, we're gonna lead the whole game.
Oh, way. Okay, here we
Because
go.
we can't play from behind.
No, you can't play for mine because we have it right down. Never led, never led, never led. Won the game, never led, never led.
Never led. All right,
I have Georgia winning this one 38-17. I think this could be a closer.
Cover?
They do cover. Well, I'm more in the fact that this is an early preview. I have the over in the game, so I need that over to hit. Anyway, but I just think this free. It does. And I just feel like Georgia is going to be enough. Kirby Smart, it's one thing to get your team ready to roll for a rivalry game. But when you played in that, when you were part of when Steve Spurrier put 50 on you in Athens as a freshman in that game, to let them, you gave up you were on the field when they gave up that 50th that point or that touchdown to give them over the 50 mark.
I thought that was Urban.
No, that was Steve Spurrier.
I'm crazy.
95.
I'm crazy.
James Bates was
didn't
played that
Urban
game.
also use like a bunch of timeouts
He
on
used
Georgia
that,
1 year?
Yeah, but Kirby Smart was at Alabama then. So,
okay.
But Smart was on the field when that happened. He knows this is personal. If you ever watch like highlights of like after the game and this stuff, like he's in the fans, he's with the fans celebrating, he's in the locker room dancing around, getting all hyped up. It's like I said, it's one thing to get your team prepped for rivalry, but when you're a former player that's played in that rivalry for 4 years, it is like he will never have them not ready to roll. That's what always scared me. Like you will never see them. You said it earlier. They're never not ready to play in this game. They're always ready to roll. It may be a couple bad minutes, but they are always ready. They'll come ready to roll. This is a big time spot for Georgia, 38-17. I think Lagway can make a play or two, but this defense is going to take over, I think, again.
You want to hear something crazy?
The Carson Beck is from Jacksonville, another homecoming game.
Lagway will not throw a pick in this game.
I mean, I'm not totally against that.
He will not.
How many sacks does he get? Is he
2?
Okay. That's not bad. All right. We're going to move on.
65 rushing yards.
I don't know what I'm doing.
65 rushing yards.
There we go. All right. Moving on here because we spent way too much time, but that's okay because, again, this is my
your podcast. We'll do whatever we want.
That's all right.
Or whatever you want.
We're already approaching the hour mark, and we're only one game in. Number 4, Ohio State takes on number 3, Penn State, and all likely the biggest game of the year of the weekend, just from a college football overview. It's not a night game, which is bull crap. I won't talk about
noon, right?
Big noon kickoff is ruined. Whiteouts for Penn State fans. Over under is 46.5. Ohio State is a 3.5 point favorite. James Franklin. Oh, I have a funny post here. Dang it. I wish I was logged into my Twitter on the computer because I would have just shared my screen. College football. As soon as this thing loads. James Franklin is 1-9 against Ryan Day.
Ooh.
But Ryan Day is 2-6 against top 5 teams.
Oh.
So it's college football goes the stoppable force versus the movable object. And it's just this post right there. So
the stoppable force versus the movable object. I like that. I like that.
Franklin has dominated the Big Ten outside of Michigan and Ohio State. So what happens this weekend? For Penn State, I'll start. Drew Aller, it's questionable coming into the game. It should be a game time decision. But Bo Pribula would be the starter going into the game. Played pretty well last weekend after when Aller went down in the end of the first half. Had 11-13 for 98 yards, but his legs were really important there. And the offense ran a lot smoother in the game. I just think that he can add an additional element in the run game with already a dynamic running back duo with Katron Allen and Nick Singleton. I would never be opposed to saying that he should get the start regardless. But if you're in a spot, I don't know how you think about this, but like let's say Ohio State's scoring and they need a pass, they need to put points up on the board. Do you trust a sophomore quarterback with not a lot of experience that is iffy in the pass game, or would you rather have Aller, who's maybe not 100%, but he's shown that he can make plays through the passing game?
I will never believe in a team that's quarterbacked by Drew Aller.
Okay.
It's something about him. I can't get behind him. I can't rally behind him.
What is there root of all of this, or is it just
no? I don't think so. It's just I have no good like evidence behind this. Like he doesn't play bad football, but I don't trust him in like big games.
And that's, I mean, listen, he played poorly against Michigan and Ohio State last year. So I mean, I guess that leaves room for. He struggled a little bit in the Wisconsin game last week before you.
He did. Was that at Wisconsin or at
Yeah.
Penn State? Okay. I do think Aller will be boosted by this home Penn State crowd.
Oh yeah.
But I think it's gonna be a battle of the defenses. Both of these teams have very, very good defenses. It's just a matter of who can get going. I mean, I really think it's just gonna be whether Penn State finds a way to contain Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah, I mean that explosive offense, Smith,
Kid is a
Emeka
beast.
Egbuka.
Oh, Emeka Egbuka is probably
Carnell Tate's also. I think he had 100 yards last game.
Emeka Egbuka might be the first receiver taken off the board.
Luther Burden might.
Yeah, Luther's kind of had more of an off year, but I think that's Missouri having an off year as a whole.
How poorly quarterback play has been.
Everyone hates Brady Cook, and
he had a good year last year, but that's because they had Cody Schrager in the backfield. This year he's been terrible, and now he's banged up. Luther Burden had 3 catches last week against Alabama. You know how many yards he had?
How many?
3.
What?
He had more rushing yards.
I mean, they did lose 4. They lose what? 34-0.
30. Yeah. You know how many rushing yards? He had more rushing yards than he had receiving yards. He had 2 carries, 15 yards. He had 3 catches for 3 yards, and they're still ranked, guys. They're still ranked.
They're still ranked.
War crimes, 25th. I think it's really also. You talk about the receivers though, and that's a big thing Penn State's going to have to do is try to limit that explosive passing game with those receivers. And getting pressure on Will Auer with that defensive front with Abdul Carter and Kobe King and Zane Durant. Denai Dennis Sutton is questionable. He got banged up too in the Wisconsin game. He's like that counterpart with Abdul Carter on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to need, if he can't go, I think they'll still be okay, but he's definitely a missed guy. I think, and you probably agree with this, which team's going to run the ball really a lot better than the other one? Both teams come in really good running back groups with Katron Allen, Dick Singleton. Ohio State should have arguably the best running back combination in the backfield with Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins. Well, they rushed for 64 yards last week. That cannot happen in this game, and they're playing up against a much better run defense. Actually, statistically, maybe Nebraska's a little bit better, but still, you're going up against another great front. I mean, which team's going to show up in that?
I've watched a couple of Penn State games all the way through.
Yeah.
And I have noticed that it feels like they are a lot better at covering running backs trying to take the outside than the middle. Like it feels like whenever an offensive line can create that hole and have the running back hit that gap instead of trying to force everything to the outside, Penn State is just going to suffer. They've got the tackles like that. Yeah, they've got the outside areas really closed off. But so I do think Ohio State's going to have more success running the ball.
See if Will Howard or which quarterback, because Will Howard can use his legs. If Pribula starts, his legs are a big threat.
So Will Howard might not start?
No, he will start. I'm saying he hasn't run the ball.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying Drew Aller doesn't start because of this injury, and Pribula does. His legs are a big factor. Containing the edge is going to be massive in this game too, I think, in all regards. But yeah, I mean, you said if they can't run the ball up the middle like that,
I think Howard's going to play the bet. I actually have it written down right here. It says Will Howard makes people respect him. That's how I feel this game is going to go. Yeah. I think people are going to realize. Also, quick side note, I just feel so bad for Kyle McCord, just over there.
That was a tough
with
game.
Syracuse. Just
I mean, Santa had a terrible year, but man, that was a nightmare game.
I mean, poor guy. I mean, the poor guy.
But Syracuse is still only, I think they're 5-3 right now. So like, they're not in a terrible season.
Yeah, but last year he was what? He was trying to compete for a national championship, and now he's on Syracuse.
It's definitely
it's a step down.
Effect
it's a step down.
Yeah. I mean, you had Devin Brown breathing down your neck, and now you brought in Will Howard, who got beat out by Avery Johnson. I don't like Will Howard saying that this is a revenge game in a sense, because Penn State did recruit him out of the state of Pennsylvania when they didn't even go after him. And then you go to Kansas State and then you get beat out there. Like, I don't understand.
Avery Johnson is a fun player to watch, but I
his hair. He needs to cut his hair.
Watching them both play, it doesn't feel like Avery Johnson's a better quarterback than
his legs are a lot better. But yeah, I mean, he's outside of really the BYU game though, he's throwing the ball. He's definitely got a lot better from last year when he took over.
Is it offensive to say that I think every time Avery steps on the field, I'm like, why is the punter lined up at quarterback? He looks like a punter.
It's probably the long hair.
Maybe. He's got
Skinny
the build of a punter.
Yeah.
Like fully,
Yeah.
I'm like, why isn't he punting the ball?
Maybe that's when they need to. He'll do the old like Ben Roethlisberger, just like catch it and just drop back.
Or holder. He looks like a great holder, but quarterback just doesn't. It doesn't.
It's not adding up.
He doesn't scream quarterback to me.
No. What does scream quarterback? I don't know. Actually, that was a terrible reference. But Ohio State's secondary needs to play a cut down on Penn State's playmakers. Tyler Warren leads all tight ends, I believe, in receptions, and yards possibly. But he's the X factor. Tyler Warren is Penn State's offense. They have some other guys, Harrison Wallace, Amari Evans, but
a top 10 team with a really good tight end is just going to cook always.
How about Julian Fleming, who's had a abysmal year statistically? Or do we see something here against Ohio State?
I'm gonna go with no.
Yeah,
I don't think you can just figure it out against an elite defense like this. Like everything's just gonna click.
Though, he knows all the guys. How much do you think they're asking him? Like, all right, hey, what do you think about
this? they're like, hey kid, I need you to log into your old account and just get us all the plays.
Side note, didn't even think about this. ETN doing the same thing.
ETN doing the same thing
with Florida's defense.
Now, our defense was bad last year. What's he going to tell him?
Well, it's the same system.
So,
to be fair, Ron Roberts wasn't there last year. So,
also, ETN gave up like all his ties to the University of Florida. Like, he can never come back.
Do you think he cares, though, respectfully?
I don't know.
He's not even from Florida.
But like, Florida is such a has so much tradition where like they love to bring players back and have them be Mr. Tuvits and stuff like that. And like they love their alumni.
I did love when they brought Emmitt Smith as Mr.
Like ETN gave all that up.
His son plays on A&M when they
he's never going to be invited back to a game. He's never going to be welcomed back at the University of Florida ever. That sucks.
I mean, I guess
he's cut that off from his life.
Well, I'm sure it's really making him lose sleep.
Let's be honest.
Night,
Trevor and Travis are dumb, and I don't like their mom.
What did the mom do?
She like literally during last year, we're trying to figure out everything with our team, and she's like, "Why ain't my baby getting snaps?" And I'm like, lady, just back up, all right?
Listen, she wants questions answered.
I've got
and all kinds of other does too.
I've got Travis and his mom breathing down my neck. Like, why isn't he getting snaps? Why isn't he getting snaps?
That's for you. You need to figure that out.
To be fair, I also was wondering why he wasn't getting snaps.
What do you think I'm wondering?
Look, I like
getting touches, right?
I like Montrell, but I think
Trevor has that. He's that shift.
He's got that explosiveness.
He's that gadget.
He's got that explosiveness that you want and desire in college football.
And speaking of want and desire, what do you think the score is to this game? I do think the crowd's going to have to be a giant factor in this one. It needs to be a whiteout type energy. There was no. That's all that was. Anyway, we've seen it's the same thing with the South Carolina game. We'll talk about a little bit. How these home underdogs, slight home underdogs, the crowd's been a massive factor. We talked about the A&M game, or at least I talked about it, like the A&M game last week. I had A&M winning partly because I just thought the crowd was going to be that extra added element. Tennessee beating Alabama, I thought the same thing, but I also thought Tennessee's offense would be able to take away. And then even the Oregon game, I thought Oregon and Autzen Stadium were going to take over, and they did. I just think that's how I think these crowds need to be the extra added player, that 12th man.
Let me paint you a picture.
Okay.
All right.
Let's hear it.
There is 2 minutes left in this game.
2 minutes left.
Ohio State has just scored.
Okay.
And the entire crowd is behind this Penn State offense. It's 22-17. Okay. And they're going to have 2 minutes to drive.
Okay.
And then on the very first play, Drew Allar throw the pick.
How would that be with the crowd, though?
What do you mean?
Like, is the crowd getting amped up and stuff?
The crowd's getting amped. They feel like Penn State is about to have the ability to just run down the field, and Drew Allar's going to throw a pick on the first play. And the game.
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked by it.
22-17. Ohio State covers.
22-17. Okay. I had Penn State winning this one.
Whoa.
This is a strictly I have no confidence in either team as far as picking this game, but I think Penn State's going to win 27-23. I'm very worried about the lack of it looks like they looked just strictly very disinterested in the game last week against Nebraska. I just don't think that there's something wrong right now. The Ohio State fan base doesn't like their coach. They don't like what's going on right now. I think there's something up. The defense is playing okay. The secondary's been and the offense is just. We'll see.
I've also noticed that both of the games we've talked about so far, I've been like, "Oh, the over is free," and then my prediction is is under the point. I said the over is free in Florida, Georgia, and I predicted
21,
28, 21,
49 right there. I have no confidence either of this pick, but I do think Penn State wins.
Like if either of these teams wins, it's not going to shock us.
No, and I preseason picked Penn State to win this game.
Oh, okay.
So
is that really why you're picking?
Yes. Other than that, I have no other confidence. Plus, I mean, Ohio State, their fan base is just a bunch of babies. Anyway, still subscribe though. Next game here we'll hit up is the Texas A&M, the top 10 now. Texas A&M Aggies are at South Carolina, and they're walking into a hornet's nest at Williams-Brice Stadium at night. Sandstorm's going to be playing. Those towels will be rowdy. And now we're going to see which quarterback starts for Texas A&M.
This is going to be a slaughtering.
You think?
South Carolina
you think this is a terrible spot
is
for A&M?
going to get South Carolina is going to get slaughtered.
Oh,
slaughtered.
I don't know about slaughtered. I think A&M will win the game, but I don't know. I think it's close.
Slaughtered. I think it's. I don't think it's going to be close at all.
I think it's have insane. At quarterback for A&M?
I don't care. I honestly, I think Marcel Reed's the guy.
I think he has to be the full-time guy.
I think he's like
the offense just runs better through him. I tweeted that out after the Florida game.
Before the Florida game, I was so excited for the matchup with Connor Wegman, or is it Wedgman or Wegman? Wegman. And then they said Marcel Reed's playing, and I'm like, "What? You're telling? Wait! You're telling me instead of the pocket passer that hasn't been that consistent, they're going to a dual guy?
Had a guy had like multiple touchdowns and like I think 300 yards against the bowl game last year. Kirk Herbstreit even said something about it like on game day, like, hey, pretty good guy right here. Like they better be on and ready to roll in this one. I think it has to be Reed. I mean, the offense you saw in the LSU game. I mean, he came in halfway through the third, had 3 touchdowns in the second half alone. LSU had no answers. I mean, he's like a Lamar Jackson almost prototype in a sense.
He's a freak. He's a freak.
It could not.
He's
stop
fun
him.
to watch play. Like I hate that he cooked Florida, but he's fun to watch.
I mean, the one move he made on I forget who it was against Florida, and Joe Tessitore had a great call on that one. Like the shiftiness he has and just the speed. And he's not a bad thrower of the football.
Am I the only one that thinks this line is insane?
I think it's more just like you're walking into the Hornets' nest. You're coming off that massive win.
South Carolina is going to get a reality check in this game. They played close with Bama, and then they whooped Oklahoma.
Which team has the better pass protection? Because both these defensive lines are legit. South Carolina.
And I don't want it to feel like I'm disrespecting South Carolina. I picked South Carolina. I picked them last week against Oklahoma.
I mean, great pick.
It was.
That's because the D line is 4th in team sacks. They're averaging 4 a game. They are and AM's 41st in sacks allowed. So they gave up 4 last week against LSU, which is another top 5 unit. Kyle Kennard has 8.5 sacks. Dylan Stewart on the other side is 4.5. And don't forget about Big Tonka Hemingway up in the middle with their 3. These guys will get after you. Look what they did. LSU, they were only one of 2 teams to get multiple sacks against LSU this year.
A&M just feels like they're rolling now.
And
I mean, they could have easily won that Notre Dame game.
Yeah, if they didn't have Connor Wegman playing quarterback. Freaking no-show.
It's crazy to me that there's still I wrote it down. I said, where's A&M? Where's A&M? I think I had it lower. Yeah, I had it lower. I said, still don't really know what the QB situation is in College Station or why there's a controversy.
There shouldn't be. But Mike Elko's did this because I think I thought, and when I did the preview for it, when they played Missouri, I was like, Marcel Reed's going to play. They're going to have a good game. And then Wegman comes back and he plays great because they ran the ball exceptionally well, but
Wegman has thrown more interceptions than touchdowns.
The offense has never been fluid outside of the Missouri game. I think the Missouri game is just the big outlier because outside of that, nothing's been special with it. And Marcel Reed comes in and he's just dominated with this offense. And if you're South Carolina, you need to have a spy on him. Nick Emenwari is the main linebacker. They do have Debo Williams and Demetrius Knight that can also be a spy. But when you're playing these big time, these dual threat guys, Georgia's going to have a spy. I think Jalen Walker will be that guy for DJ Lagway. Someone's got to step up and be that guy.
I think especially in this game, it's going to be a situation where if Marcel Reed plays, both teams are going to have to run a spy most of the game.
Oh,
Lenore
yeah.
Sellers is
Lenore Sellers is sneaky athletic. He will use his legs as well.
I wrote this down too. I said Lenore Sellers is not that great at football, but boy, is he fun to watch play.
He's that LSU game before he got banged up. It was a real shame that he got banged up because he was taking over that LSU.
He feels like the definition of Beamer ball to me.
Oh yeah,
the way he plays
for sure.
I also hate the saying Beamer ball because I just feel like I dislike Shane Beamer. I just think he's kind of an idiot.
I think that if South Carolina can't protect Lenore Sellers, and we can't watch him be awesome because South Carolina is so good at pass protection that they got awarded 132nd in the country in sacks allowed. Isn't that amazing? You know who else was ranked 132nd last week against Ole Miss or against or you know who am I thinking about? Oh yeah, Ole Miss went in to play Oklahoma last week.
Uh-huh.
You know Oklahoma is ranked 133rd now. You know how many sacks Ole Miss had against them?
How many?
10.
That's bad.
So and now South Carolina's 132nd. They're giving up almost 5 sacks a game, guys. This is outstanding stuff.
Not to mention, this A&M D-line is no joke.
No, you got Nick Scorton, Albert Regis, Shamar Turner, Shamar Stewart, and TJ Hicks.
Shamar Stewart is a dog. Shamar Stewart is a dog.
Nick Scorton's a dog. Those two.
He is, but I don't know. I think
Nick Scorton will go higher in the draft though than Shamar Stewart. Shamar Turner.
Yeah, I agree. I like watching Shamar more.
Yeah. I mean, it's not just. But I mean, again, like, is South Carolina be able to protect quarterback?
No. It's gonna have to be Lenoris really.
Which team's gonna run the ball better? I think because neither passing attacks is great. So you have two mobile quarterbacks, and Rocket Sanders is really good at his job at South Carolina running back. But you have Amari Daniels and Le'Veon Moss, who are also really good. So I think which team's going to establish a line of scrimmage and protect the quarterback is going to win this game.
A&M, besides the first game, has been one of the best teams in football.
Yeah, they've been rolling. Yeah. Even in that game, there was too many missed opportunities, and you played against the Notre Dame secondary. That's pretty good, actually.
Well, watching a team like A&M is so frustrating as a Florida fan. Like seeing them last year and them getting the guy to do it.
And that's just showing, and just to think, just to remember that Stoops was supposed to be the coach there. And then the fans, remember the boosters revolted, said, no. They did the Bugs Bunny, went, no.
Kentucky might be in a worse head coach situation than Florida is.
But yet Stoops will be in the Kentucky Hall of Fame. He'll probably get a statue built of him.
Stoops is a situation where
they'll name the stadium after.
I think it was a Belichick situation. Like even if he's bad, I think they'll just keep.
They'll be so
him as the coach.
They're going to be mediocre enough. They'll make a bowl game every year, and they'll just be happy with that. That's just what it is.
That's the life of a Kentucky fan. Hey, just remind you, if there's any Kentucky fans out there listening, I hope you had fun on your little 3-year run because. Everyone, what happened the last 4 years? I've been screamed at, and I just turn around. And I'm like, what happened the last 40? You know, we beat you guys 30 years in a row, right? 30 years. That's why Florida is so frustrating to me right now because my parents didn't know what it meant to lose to Kentucky, to lose to Tennessee. Yeah. They didn't do that. No. Florida just destroyed. I was about to say something way worse. Florida just destroyed them back in the 80s, 90s, 2000s. Every time they played. They were just better. Mm-hmm. Oh, favorite stat? You know, Peyton Manning, you know how many games he ever won in the Swamp? Actually, the answer is 1.
Okay. So you had me hyped up.
Yeah, it's a fun stat. Bates actually told us this. He went 0-4 against Florida in his career, but his senior year he played in the Gator Bowl, which for 1 year was held in the Swamp. So he actually
that was a nice little trick question.
It's a trick question. Yeah, so he's never beat Florida, but he has won a game in the Swamp.
That's like
I believe it was against.
Oh, here we go. Let's see if we can pull this one out.
Oh, I don't think I can. I'm gonna go.
Why don't you look that up and we'll see here. What is score prediction though for this game? You said it's a slaughtering on the way.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think this is going to be a game that A&M wins by minimum 2 scores. I would say my final score prediction is going to be it's different whether Wegman or Marcel Reed plays. I think if Wegman plays, you're going to see this game be 24-14.
Okay.
And I think if Marcel Reed plays, you're going to see it be more like 35-14.
I say I have A&M winning 31-20, but I could see a spot where South Carolina wins this game. Respectfully, I do. I think the crowd is going to be They saw how wild they were for the LSU noon game. You gave them a night game against a top 10 team coming in, and South Carolina coming a nice, great win off the bye. Regardless,
this also feels like a game you sprinkle the over, right? 44.5.
I don't know. I just think the
low.
pass rush is going to be the lack of offense.
Your prediction had the wait. What did you say? 31-20. That's 51.
And even that, I don't feel good. So I don't know. This could be a really low. Remember when South Carolina was down? I don't know what the odds were, but like Tennessee came in a couple years ago, and they just put 60 on him. Spencer Rattler and company, and I mean
Spencer
that
Rattler
could be a spot right there.
Never beat the Florida Gators.
Spencer Rattler is not very good at his job. So
Spencer Rattler probably also never beat the Georgia Bulldogs, I'm guessing.
No. Yeah. Spencer Rattler got beat out at Oklahoma.
Spencer Rattler is an elite Saints quarterback.
Spencer Rattler is struggling in his job right now.
Spencer Rattler will be cut by the end of the year.
Possibly. All right. Well, moving on now to the ACC. Something you said you were throwing shots at earlier. So we're going to see how you rebound here. Louisville. I said it again. Louisville at number 11, Clemson. Clemson's a 10.5 point favorite. This is going to be Clemson's probably biggest test since they lost to Georgia week 1. Clemson, since that week 1 loss, is averaging 48.5 points a game. Their offense is 4th in the nation in scoring with 42 a game. And Cade Klubnik, don't look now, according to FanDuel, though, even though that's not legal here in Florida, he is 5th in the Heisman odds. And he's 4th in passing touchdowns with 20 already this year.
Hunter, let's get something straight right now.
Okay. Let's hear it.
If I am not talking crap about the ACC, 2 things have happened. 1, I'm dead.
You're dead.
All right. The second one, if you're talking to me and I'm not talking crap about the ACC, that's not me. I've been kidnapped.
It's been
It's a doppelganger.
It's AI'd over.
I will talk crap on this stupid little conference until I die.
Little conference. I wouldn't say little now because they're coast to coast.
They're just it's fine. Not in the size of them, but it's just the fact that it's like
the irrelevancy.
They're down here. They're you're like the camera can't even catch how far down they are. That's how low they are. And even let's switch it up real quick.
Okay, let's hear it.
SEC's taking over basketball.
They are slowly, surely.
I mean, let's talk about SEC has 8 teams in the top 25.
Yeah,
in basketball preseason.
Georgia just put 114 on UCF last night.
Pipe down, buddy. I don't want to hear anything about Mike White. I will say I'm jealous of that recruit you guys just got.
Yeah, over Florida and Florida.
I had a meme ready.
7'1".
I had a meme ready to post with.
And you have freshman Asa Newell, who's put 19 and 7 on UCF last night.
I was actually
and
really
they got
excited
John
about
Ronstein to tweet about Georgia, which never happens. So
I love John.
He is a avid Dogs hater. So you were ready for that.
That would have been so fun to post.
But nonetheless, he couldn't get it done.
Also,
that's Mike White. That's Mike White for you.
You don't like Mike White. Let's be honest.
I don't mind Mike White.
You don't.
As irrelevant as Georgia's basketball program's been in the last of all time.
Okay, that's fair. Maybe I just don't. Maybe Mike White was preaching this mediocrity that I didn't accept.
Georgia had, I can't remember the number. I couldn't tell you. They lost so many 1-possession games last year, and for a team that was irrelevant before he came. I mean, it's slowly but surely.
Look. Let's be honest. And I know we've diverted off of.
We're gonna get back on track.
ACC football to college basketball for a second. Florida, in the history of things, is a top 10 college basketball school.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
I mean, one of, I think, 3 teams to ever win back-to-back national championships.
There was a time when I was at a Great Wolf Lodge in Wisconsin Dells rooting for Florida to make a run there at the tournament.
In Wisconsin. Oh, you said Wisconsin, and my mind went to Chris Gio. You know that shot?
Oh, yeah. The running shot. No, when Florida made their run there, and I think UConn ended up winning.
You big into Georgia basketball?
Here and there. I'm more big into Georgia baseball.
Ooh, that's fun.
Coming to town this spring.
You think they're going to be as good as they were last year?
They should be.
They shouldn't be.
I mean, they'll lose. I mean, they're losing a few guys, but this is off air. This is not Charlie Condon. Well, they're losing him, and oh crap, what's the guy? Our leadoff.
It was so delicious beating you guys in the regular season. If you guys would have beat us, we wouldn't have made the tournament.
Yeah, I was a little frustrated because they blew the lead, but
and then we went to the final. But I think everyone knew last year that Florida was a lot better.
Again, Georgia baseball has been what what they were left with West Johnson before West Johnson. Now they went to a super regional when they were projected.
Oh, they're on the come up. They just gotta
projected to finish 10th in the SEC last year.
You know what this is? It's my ring finger.
Is that how many ring fingers is that?
I have one, right? We have one.
Yeah, that's right.
But we've played in 4 or 3 or 4.
Well, it's like making the NCAA tournament as like a 16 seed.
What? What do you mean? We've
played. No, I'm saying.
No, I'm saying we've played in 3 College World Series finals, like in the championship game.
And only 1 win.
Yeah, it's not bad. 33%. That's not bad.
Anyway,
we should have won in 2023.
All right, we got to get back here.
Or 2022.
So, this is a high-scoring game we're looking at here. I think both defenses are decent, but they're nothing good. I mean, Louisville put 45 on Miami. Clemson, I trust more in the pass rushing department and the linebackers with Barrett Carter, Woody Oz, and Peter Woods. But outside of that, like, Louisville's 20th in scoring offense.
I think Louisville's going to keep this game close.
Tyler Shuck, who's been quietly one of the more underrated quarterbacks all year, he's 11th in passing. He has passing yards per game, 293 a game. My man has thrown it to Ja'Cory Brooks and Chris Bell. I mean, they're making plays all over the field.
If you look at the rundown, I looked at this last night. Yes, Louisville has only won 2 of their last 5.
But
all 3 of those losses are against ranked teams, and all of them are 1-score games.
So they're losing close, and they're losing games like the Miami game. They just had a couple of bad breaks that went their way.
Lost to Miami by 7. They lost to SMU by 7, and they lost to Notre Dame by 7.
So I just think that.
So why would I not take Louisville plus 10.5?
Because Clemson. Well, actually, that's not maybe a bad move right there. I like the over in this game. I think Clemson is going to win this one 42-31, but I do think that neither defense is going to be able to really have a hard time stopping each other.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that Clemson makes a play or two late to kind of put the game on lock.
Clemson is very, very good. They've just been overlooked because they had to play an SEC team the first week of the season.
And this is a big test for Clemson, too, because they haven't played anybody that's been up to standard. Because all due respect to Florida State and NC State and company, but even Virginia, who led 10-3 for a little bit in the first half, that's not Georgia football. Georgia is a step above all of that. And now, so you get Louisville. Really, after that, I think the next biggest game, they do have to go to Virginia Tech next Friday night.
Yeah, it's going to be a big game.
And then they have Pitt later on. But, like, this is probably one of the more better offenses you're going to see.
I could talk for hours about how delicious it is that FSU is 1-7. I could talk about it for hours.
We could. Well, to be fair, Florida State is on the around the country docket, so we'll let you spew there for a little bit. What's the score prediction here? I'm
going to say, I think Louisville is going to keep this game close, like I said.
Okay.
Like you were talking about, Louisville does have a solid offense. This QB battle is going to be fun to watch.
It will be. I think that the resurrection that this Clemson offense has put together, even from last year, Garrett Riley's supposed to come in and like change everything after what he did at TCU.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do anything offensively, and they still won 9 games last year. And now they come in this year, they put 3 points up. They look like crap. And all of a sudden now they're just doing whatever they want offensively. It's crazy what they've been able to turn around. And Klubnik looks like a relevant quarterback again. I still think Clemson's going to win. I'm going to say being at home helps big time here. I'm going to say this is a game that will end up being, I'm going to say Clemson 35, Louisville 31. I have 42-31 Clemson. So they're not too far off there. All right. Moving on here to the other ACC game. Woo. This is the only other ranked game. I'm more excited about this one than I am Louisville Clemson. Because it's on the ACC network. I know a lot of fans are happy about that one. It's also because I love watching SMU. So this is the only other ranked matchup in the top 25 this week outside the Penn State game. And it's an 8:00 kick, which is one of 3 games to be the 8:00 kick, which is also the latest kickoff time this Saturday. I went to look at the Hawaii is on the road this week. I went to look at the schedule and it said the latest kick was 8:00, and I was like, well, that can't be right. Yeah. What am I supposed to do when I'm up at 2 a.m? Reminisce cocktail party. I can't. Yes, reminisce on the win. No. Yes. Doubtful there. I can't wait to watch the highlights after that. I am a highlight fiend. When we win a game night, I'm watching the highlights 4 or 5 times. I scroll through the Twitter comments just to see. Oh, yeah. Twitter comments, if you're ever looking to watch 2 fan bases kill each other, Twitter is where it's at. Or Twitter gives me some great thing. So you remember yesterday whenever West Palm Sean, yes, a person in our class was talking about his camera work. Yes.
I was seeing the whole game. So many people on Twitter being like, "This is the worst camera work I've ever seen." Like it was bad.
You gotta do the Dabo. You just gotta keep head down, keep working.
And then we came into class the next week, and he was like, "Yeah, I was working the camera," and I was like, "Oh
You're
no!"
like, of course you were.
Oh
Dong.
no!
Yeah. So don't be like that. And again, if you want to see two fan bases kill each other, I would suggest hitting up X. So
this is going to be a race to 40. This is going to be the first team to score 40 wins this game.
Pitt is 7-0. They've won 4 games this year, though, by 10 or less points.
Ooh, I did not know that.
And they were the comeback kids partly. Two of the first 3 weeks against Cincinnati and West Virginia, they were down multiple scores late in the second half. They were down 10 against West Virginia. And as family members and a moral supporter of the West Virginia Mountaineers, I hate seeing them lose to Pitt.
You a big West Virginia guy?
Oh, I mean, I'm always going to be a West
Virginia.
You want
to know,
West Virginia.
West Virginia's quarterback is from my hometown.
Tallahassee, Garrett Green.
He played at Childs High School. I saw him play quite a few times, actually.
His dad never played football. You know that he was an avid basketball player, and he played baseball professionally. So there was an article I saw that was like he didn't really know much about football.
Garrett
grew up
Green,
watching Larry Green.
He was always nice to me. I got told by some people that he was kind of a dick, but
listen, Garrett Green's not a bad quarterback. Although
he's not. He was like
he didn't play this past week. I believe either he got hurt or benched.
Preseason, he was top 10 in Heisman voting.
I had a lot of high hopes for West Virginia coming into this year, and then they lost to Pitt, and I was so devastated because they're up 10 with under 4 minutes to go, and they lost the game.
Garrett Green, not a college quarterback, NFL quarterback,
possibly. And Pitt. So Pitt 7-0, SMU 7-1. Their only loss came to BYU, and where they had multiple turnovers in the red zone, and they only lost by 3. And BYU is undefeated at this point. So both teams come in undefeated in ACC play.
Mr. Holstein, is that
Eli Holstein, Alabama transfer.
Eli Holstein
has 17 touchdowns.
Is one of the most underrated quarterbacks.
He is
football. I got it right here. Almost 1,800 passing yards. He's got actually 18 passing touchdowns.
Oh, yeah.
5 interceptions.
64% completion percentage.
Ooh.
I mean, it's a 25th ranked pass offense in the country. And
it's
SMU
crazy that it's even that low.
And SMU is 99th against the pass. So, but they do. So I wrote here, attack a weak SMU secondary, but be cautious. And why is that? Well, because SMU is 9th in turnovers.
I was about to say, I remember I've watched their games. They create a lot of
17 turnovers they've created. They have 12 picks they've gotten. And Holstein, while he is really good, he does have the 5 picks. So let's see now. This will be one of the better secondaries you're going to see as far as it's more like the Cal secondary where you're going to give up the passing yards, but they're going to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like, I don't know what I'm like.
This spread also feels very disrespectful.
I love Pitt to cover this game. I think
maybe hinting at a best bet later.
Possibly. It's a high scoring game, but I do think Pitt does cover this line. No, they win. I don't know, but Pitt needs to slow down a high power SMU offense too.
SMU, I knew they're such a fun story.
They are.
Like this is their first year in the ACC, correct?
First year in the ACC.
And they're a top 20 team, just destroying all this ACC competition. Who they lose to?
BYU.
That's not a bad loss at all.
And that was at home, and you had multiple turnovers in the game, and you only lost by 3. And then they make the quarterback change week 5, bringing Chris Jennings, who's just revitalized this offense. Preston Stone was supposed to be the guy, and now he's not. And Kevin Jennings, since he came in, has over 1,500 yards passing, 64% completion percentage, 10 touchdowns.
I mean, in just what, like 4-5 games?
Yeah.
Like he's already at 1,500 passing.
He came in, I believe, the first game against TCU. I was all over TCU in that one. I thought they were going to win. And then they gave up, and then SMU scores 66 on him. SMU is a very balanced offense with Brashad Smith, Kevin Jennings, and LJ Johnson. They can also, RJ Maryland, tight end, absolute X factor.
It's also weird because, like you said, like it doesn't feel like they have this like elite defense. Like it feels like they're
opportunistic. That's the word.
They're not great against the pass or the rush, but they turn the ball over.
They create turnovers.
Yeah,
that's what Cal does. And
yeah,
Cal should have done it against. They did it against Miami, and they couldn't.
Cal actually, the only I went back to Tallahassee to watch an FSU game, the only one that they've won this
Cal.
year.
There we go.
I'm a little terrified about going to UF-FSU because the only game FSU has won this year is a game I was at.
I mean,
It's
you are the good luck charm.
What's crazy
you
is
3-2-1 Noel?
Am I 3-2-1 Noel? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, so you're not eating the dog food?
Oh my gosh! Did you see the video of the kid who actually did it?
That was staged.
No, they did. No. FSU Barstool posted a new one. There was a kid right outside of the stadium that actually did it very clearly.
That's disgusting. I can't even watch
reverse
that
the curse.
Stuff.
It's bad because I think my last 5 games at Doak, FSU's 5-0.
You are the good luck charm,
dude. I was at the game. Don't do that. Don't do that. I was at the game. That last bowl game last year is the only game I've ever been like, I want Georgia to win so bad. There were people that like, oh, FSU should, and I was like,
63-3.
This right now is their punishment for they had the whole we're gonna finish.
Someone said yesterday in class that Florida had the FSU treatment in basketball.
I said that,
and if that was the case, though, Florida wouldn't have made the tournament, though. If you think about it.
No, we just got.
I know you got screw jobbed, but like if you want to.
But that was only 4 teams. That's different.
But
we got but they should have been in the tournament, but they got a 5. But they were ranked 5. We should have been a higher seed. But we got ranked.
Points to Colorado.
Here's my thing. All right, this is punishment right now.
Yes,
because their whole thing when Jordan Travis got injured was we're gonna finish for 13. Yep. This whole season about 13, and then as soon as they didn't make the college football playoff, what did they do? They all gave up. They all threw their swords in the middle of the table, and they said, we're done here. All right. All the seniors said, we're not going to play in this freaking bowl game. We're going to go and prepare for the NFL draft because we're little weenies and we don't want to play Georgia. And first of all, it didn't matter whether you played Georgia. Didn't matter whether you played Bama. You could have played freaking Montana.
Yeah.
With Brock Glenn, you were going to get destroyed. You remember when this season when they put in Brock Glenn over DJ? They were like, oh, this guy's going to – and everyone was like, oh, Brock Glenn's going to be the guy. And I was like, do you guys not remember the ACC championship less than a year ago when Mike Norvell was more confident?
They played out of the Wildcat.
He ran the Wildcat more than he had him just run a regular play. Yeah. That's how little faith he had in Brock Glenn.
Where's the name? I'm looking for it. Yeah, I was 100% agree. Like they all just gave up except for the one senior that like played.
What was his name?
I'm looking. I forget. And he's signed by the Buccaneers. And he's really good. He was one of the defensive ends. I'm gonna find it right here.
It's not Fisk.
No, Peyton Fisk got drafted.
It's not Verse because they're both the Rams.
Yeah. It's Kalen DeLoach.
Poor
Kalen DeLoach. By the way, shout out his brother plays on Georgia's basketball team. Shout out that anyway. Kalen DeLoach was like the only senior that decided he wanted to finish what they started, and he went out there and played. And to watch him kind of just get manhandled out there by himself in a sense, it was almost like the Spartans. Or like the 300 movie where they're all outnumbered. They know they're done. And he's just out there laying his life down for FSU.
As soon as that game ended, I posted on my story and it was just me with a thumbs up. And it said, it's always a good day whenever FSU loses. And then I said, biggest bowl loss in school history, biggest bowl loss in bowl game history, # finish for 13.
There you go. So
I'm salty.
What do you see as...
Also, to go back to what I said, that's why I brought up FSU. I think I realized SMU was the real deal when they just I mean, every team kills FSU now. But, like, they looked so good against FSU. Mm-hmm. And FSU at that point, we still thought they might have
a little bit
of fraction of a defense.
And they gave it 40.
And they just destroyed them.
All so right, what do you like score prediction-wise here?
Score prediction? Yeah. I do think this is disrespectful to Pitt.
Yeah.
But...
Or do they know something we don't?
I think they might know something.
That's what I'm
thinking. I think SMU has just been electric recently. I'm going to say SMU. I'm going to say SMU 42, Pitt 30. But I think it's going to be like a close 1-score game until the 4th, and then SMU is going to score to make it 2 scores.
So I like SMU to win this one. Mm-hmm. I think Pitt covers the line though. I think Pitt's pass rush keeps this game with relative in check enough. They're 11th in team sacks, so like get after the quarterback a little bit. But I do think SMU makes enough plays, and that the turnover opportunistic defense creates a turnover too late in the game to kind of put it on lockhold. And as the great state of West Virginia likes to say, eat shit Pitt. There we go. Anyway, moving on now to our final game of the headlining series is number 1 Oregon at Michigan. This won't take long because Michigan sucks.
This is not going to be a fun game to watch.
No, it's going to be boring. And how about CBS? Another game where they could have had something better, but they got stuck with this one. They do think
Oregon, Michigan. I mean, preseason you thought it was going to be a great game.
It was, but then you had Davis Warren restarting back in the spot because their other guy, I forget his name, is Jack something. Look up the quarterback just retired for Maryland or Michigan.
Jack Tuttle.
Chuck Tuttle. Just retired because of a concussion. Same thing Grayson McCall just did that the week prior.
He did. I'm writing a story about that in the class. About concussions.
CTE.
CTE.
CTE ESPN.
CTETN.
CTE ESPN.
CTE ESPN. C-SPAN.
Antonio Brown.
Cracker of the day.
There
All right. we made it there.
There we go. Michigan needs to, I think at this point, needs to either take the playbook out of the USC game where they just ran the ball down their throat, figure something out that way. They're going to need to limit possessions for Oregon, run the football. And Khalil Mullings, who did some questionable decisions at the end of the Michigan State game where he might have allegedly stomped on some people. Allegedly. We'll keep it at that. Donovan Edwards also, who's had, what a pathetic season he's had. He was on the cover.
Should have just went pro.
He was on the cover of College Football 25.
Was he a sophomore last year? Could he have gone
junior.
pro? So he could have gone pro.
Yeah. And he decided to stay. He was supposed to be the number 1 guy. He is second, and it's by quite a wide margin. And he is on the cover of College Football 25. Make it make sense.
It sucks.
It's not. It doesn't.
I liked Donovan Edwards.
Well, he's not performed well this year. Michigan, here's a fun fact for you.
Mm-hmm.
They need to get a lead early because otherwise they have no. You're talking about Florida struggling behind, not playing behind. Michigan, they have lost every game. Every game they've lost this year, they've trailed by double digits in the second quarter.
I did not know that.
So they can't.
In the second quarter?
Yeah. By the second quarter, they have trailed by double digits.
I wrote down, don't think the defense will save them this time.
Defense has not been up to par either. I mean, they're 86 against the pass. They're 20.
I said Michigan's just a shell of themselves, but they lost so much. Like, it's not like I was expecting them to be this elite team they were last year.
I thought they'd be all right defensively.
I thought they'd still be top 25.
Yeah. I think that, the back end's been okay, but they haven't been up to par, obviously. And the defensive line's been pretty good. They need to create pressure. They're 28th in sacks with Josiah Stewart and TJ Guy. You have those big guys up the middle with Kenneth Grant. And
it felt like an LSU situation where, like, they're still going to be good, but they had that 1 year where they're like, we've got to win it right now.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much. Also, I said Michigan may have the worst QB situation in the country.
Oh, it's bad.
It's so bad.
It's very bad. It is.
Alex Orji, baby.
I don't know what they were hyping him up for.
He's not good.
Start the year. He hasn't done anything.
They should have kept, you know who they should have kept?
Who?
Cade McNamara.
Iowa legend who doesn't even start there anymore.
He doesn't start there anymore?
I think it's
he get benched?
I think he did.
No, not Cade.
Yeah, I think he did. But if you're Oregon, get ahead, set the tone early. Dylan Gabriel has Brendan Sullivan.
They just benched him.
Proud Northwestern transfer. Dylan Gabriel is 76% completion percentage, is first in the FBS. Ooh. Over 2,300 passing yards is 8th in the FBS. Ooh. 18 touchdowns, 5 picks. He's been on a roll. Trayshawn Holden, Terrence Ferguson, Evan Stewart, Tez Johnson.
They're gonna roll them.
This has the Illinois game written all over it again. And Illinois beat Michigan, and you just saw what Oregon just did to Illinois. If you're gonna take any bet in this game, take the first half over, because Oregon likes to put them on, and then they just kind of go into cruise control the second half because they're up so big that they just play defense.
I don't know how. Didn't Michigan win like a big game early? Or am I wrong?
No, they lost to Texas.
But they still have. I feel like they still played like another ranked team.
They played USC.
But we thought USC was good at that point.
Yeah,
because turns out they both are terrible at football.
Yes, possibly.
How did LSU lose to USC?
They
lost A&M. So
and Miller Moss had a just great game.
Yeah, that's fair.
Honestly, who's going to be the more physical team? I think if Oregon controls the line of scrimmage and runs the ball really well and stops the run, they're going to be all right. But if Michigan can maybe keep them in one-dimensional, keep them in check with those big guys up front,
It's crazy because
80.
before the season, I would have told you
Yeah.
the only thing that I thought I was sure about in this game was that Michigan would have been the more physical team.
That's what everyone thought with like the USC game, and then or the Texas game.
And they
make it a street fight, but then Texas did the same thing, and they were like, okay, we'll do that, and then they just dominated them. I think Oregon rolls in this one, 33-15.
33-15. Wow. Yeah, I think I was going to go along the same kind of line. I don't think Oregon's going to score a lot, but I don't think they're going to need to score a lot.
What if Michigan beats them?
Stop making me laugh. Don't make me laugh. Don't make me laugh.
I'm sorry.
You really think Michigan could beat Oregon?
No, I'm just.
They don't have any. They have no offense whatsoever.
No, that's why I said, what if they do?
I'm gonna say Oregon 28, Michigan 10.
All right. I think it's a lower scoring, but I mean, just because I think Oregon's going to get such a big lead that it won't matter.
Agreed.
All right. Moving on to around the country here. I'm going to get one more drink of water right here before we round up the show here. Oh gosh. Sorry about that. All right, so in around the country, as I always like to say, we're getting in the plane, we're turning it on, getting the propellers rolling, and we're taking off. And we do this twice a week. So on preview week, we like to fly around, see what all the other big games of the week are.
Are there any peanuts?
Sure.
Yes.
This is a food services will be allowed. This is a
yes.
This flight is long enough for that.
I'd like a steak.
So we're gonna go around. Well, I don't know. You're getting peanuts and water is what you're gonna get. This is
high class dining, and you're like, we have PB&J's.
That's right.
Like,
Uncrustables
okay.
Actually is what it's gonna be, but it's gonna be like on wheat, so nobody's gonna like it anyway. So we're gonna go around all the other bigger games of the week that aren't headlining, but they still are notable. We're gonna start with Duke at Miami. Any quick thought before we do it? Usually I give a quick point or two, and then I just maybe go out who I think is gonna win.
I don't know. I feel like every ACC team
Duke
is going to still
20.5
compete with
point
Miami.
underdog in this one.
Like Miami is fool's gold. All right, you heard it here first.
Yeah.
You heard it by a bunch of people first, probably. Miami is only playing other good ACC teams, and then they played us. Big whoop.
Yeah.
Big whoop. All right. Also, that was whenever we really hadn't found ourselves yet.
Oh,
I think if we played them now, it'd be closer.
I would hope it'd be.
Yeah. Well, no, it would be. It would be closer, is what I meant to say. I think Duke will keep it close. You know what's the spread in this
20.5.
20.5?
Yeah.
Miami minus 20.5.
It might have gone up 21, actually.
You're lying.
I know.
Why is it so big? Duke's not like a terrible football team. They're what, 6? Yeah, 6-2. Oh, I guess they're 2-2 in conference. Who did they lose to?
They lost
Georgia
SMU.
Tech.
SMU beat Duke last week, and Duke was +6 in turnovers.
Okay, I see the spread now. Looking at the points that Miami has scored and the ones that Duke have. Okay, yeah,
I think Duke covers.
I think Duke, yeah, I was about to say. I think Duke covers.
We'll give Duke the cover.
But I think Miami wins this game.
All right, we have number 19 at number 19 Ole Miss at Arkansas. Arkansas.
Ooh, this is a fun one.
7-7. They're 75th in sacks allowed. Ole Miss second in sacks per game, like getting about 4 a game, and they had 10 last week against Oklahoma. What do you think gives? But side note, Taylor Green in Arkansas put 58 on Mississippi State and put 673 total yards of offense on the Bulldogs. So
I think
which one gives?
While I think Arkansas has a good offense, and I think they're
Petrino.
going to be able to successfully move the ball.
This has the LSU game written all over it right here, where they played a really good pass rush, and they just got so stacked in an offense.
I think they're just going to get outplayed.
And that defensive line just overwhelmed Arkansas.
I will say they did. You know what? What's the spread in this game?
I don't know. You're looking at it right now.
Oh, yeah.
7, I think.
7. I would take Arkansas +7 because they beat Tennessee and they played a close game against A&M.
Okay.
I'd
lean Ole Miss, but we'll see.
I think Ole Miss will win. I'd take Arkansas on the points.
Army. So I am a very pro Black Knight fan on this. We love the troops.
Night?
Black Knights. And we're very pro troops, but it's go
Agreed.
Army beat Navy on this podcast. So I don't know how you feel. Army's been a wagon this year.
Whatever the way we can get one of them in the college football playoff, that's what I want.
So Army has a 22% chance, I think, to make the playoff at this point, which is outstanding. So we're pro. So we're pro Army.
Tell me you dislike the 12-team format, and I'll hit you with that.
22%.
Army has a 22% chance to make the playoffs.
It does help too when they're in the conference now. But Harris Air Force is just trying to get put out of their misery. They got spanked by Navy earlier this year. Now they're about to get spanked against Army. And here's your fun facts for the day here. for this game. Bryson Daly, quarterback for Army.
Army scores a lot of points.
First in FBS in rushing touchdowns. He has 19. That's one ahead of Ashton Genty. They're 10th in rushing yards.
Wait. How many touchdowns did you say
he has? 19 rushing touchdowns this year. He's 10th in rushing yards with 909.
You're telling me a fake stat.
I'm not telling you a fake stat.
There's no way he has 19 rushing touchdowns.
19 rushing touchdowns. Army. I'm telling you this. This is great stuff. Here we go. Here we go.
What are these yards he gets?
Welcome back. This is the Army. This is why we love Army in this podcast.
I'm just now strapped in.
Get ready for this one.
Do I need to be watching Army football games every
Noon
week?
CBS. Here we go. Army, 3rd in rushing defense, 79 yards allowed. 9th in scoring offense. They're scoring 40 a game. They're 1st in rushing offense, 359 yards a game. They're 6th in scoring defense, 12 a game. And here's Air Force for you. This is why I love Air Force not to cover in this game. Air Force, 118th against the run. 193 yards a game they're giving up. They're 31st in rush offense. They're 131st in scoring offense. And they're 87th in scoring defense. Hammer Army. Go Army. Army is a wagon.
I don't even know what to say. I guess
Army's one flaw
is
the
a
passing
really good
defense.
football team.
They're flawed in the passing defense, but they don't play anybody but they dominate so well that it doesn't matter. Oh, they're very good.
19 rushing touchdowns?
And Army
that's got to be close to a record, right? For a quarterback?
Possibly. I don't know what the record is, but
rushing.
How about Army they're not allowed to use the transfer portal either. So these are all just homegrown guys that they've recruited. Like, because the military teams aren't allowed to. Well, actually, and Clemson apparently isn't either. So I guess if you want to add them in, but listen, Army's a wagon. So we're going to take Army to roll in this one. The over-under is like 40.5.
Yeah. Take the spread too.
Last 10 meetings also have gone under if you're looking for any trends.
Okay.
Minnesota's at Illinois. Minnesota's been rolling pretty well last 2 games. Illinois trying to bounce back after Oregon. Who do you like?
Illinois.
Same. Minnesota might keep it close. I'll take Luke Altmaier, who's played a very good year this year. I'll take them to bounce back. Virginia Tech at Syracuse. Va-Tech looking to win their 4th in a row after starting 2-3 with with Clemson on deck. Syracuse looking to bounce back after the 5 interception game where they threw 3 first half pick sixes. Who do you like?
It's
at Syracuse.
I feel so bad for Kyle McCord. I feel so bad for the guy. Like, he was competing for national championships just a year ago, and now his team is named the Orange now. That's the team he's playing.
Fran Brown, though, he's been first year head coach from Georgia. He was the secondary coach last year.
Pitch
5 but listen, Syracuse is 5-3 right now. They're trying to get to bowl eligibility. That would be a big step.
It says 5-2.
5-2. My bad. Virginia Tech 5-3. So both teams looking for bowl eligibility. Listen, Fran Brown, first year, if they can get to bowl eligibility in that first year after Syracuse has been on the down lately, I mean, that's a big time move right there. Who do you like, though?
Kyle McCord is a gunslinger. 20 touchdowns and 11 interceptions.
He's the Jameis Winston of college football.
Heaving the ball. Give me. I think Virginia Tech wins, and I'm also going to say Virginia Tech -4. Even though I said that about Illinois that it was bounce back. Yeah. Virginia Tech to win and Virginia Tech -4.
All right, Memphis at UTSA. The only thing for this is Memphis is going to win. UTSA screwed me. We talked about this on the last episode. -8, I had them. They were up 42-17 with 5.5 to go in the third and lost the game in regulation. So UTSA better earn my trust back. Otherwise, the Roadrunners are dead to me.
I would be livid.
Oh, don't worry. I was already depressed about that one. Here's one fun one for you. Vanderbilt's at Auburn. Diego Pavia, which we botched last episode in the name, unfortunately, but we got it right. Diego Pavia, he is 2-0 versus Hugh Freeze.
Have you seen the spread in this game?
7, 6.5 down.
Auburn -7.
Yeah. I love Vanderbilt strictly because Pavia's 2-0, and Hugh Freeze commented saying, I really wish we'd have to stop playing this guy.
Look, I'm not trying to give anything away, but there may be
where Vanderbilt gets back in the top 25.
There may be a bet here in a minute involving this game.
So you like Vanderbilt?
I love Vanderbilt
at Auburn.
I love this spot. I just found out.
I found out on that New Mexico State team.
I found out when the Bama game happened that Diego was the quarterback for the New Mexico State team, and I was like, "Oh, this guy's just a legend."
Yeah, 2-0 against him, and because they played him at Liberty. They played Hugh Freeze Liberty team.
The fact that Missouri is ranked 25 instead of Vandy is atrocious.
And the fact that the AP did Vanderbilt dirty like that and ranked them ahead of the Texas game instead of they could have done it the week prior with like Ball State, even more disgusting.
Yeah. Because Vanderbilt
Vanderbilt
played a great
lost
game
by
against
3.
Texas.
Texas needed a turnover on a crappy throw and then a field goal just to pull ahead late enough. And then they still needed an onside kick to beat Vanderbilt. Missouri has been outscored 75-10 against 2 ranked teams on the road this year in A&M and Alabama. 75-10. And they are only dropped 4 spots.
Missouri's awful. It's no one's.
They are the most overrated 6-2 team of all time. Right now.
I mean, I don't think they're that rated though. Like they're about to be 6-3.
The fact that they're still ranked.
Who are they playing this week?
I think they're on a bye this week.
Okay.
But the fact that they're still ranked,
it's crazy. It's insane. It's
insanely dumb and stupid.
It's insane.
Texas Tech's at Iowa State. Iowa State looking to stay undefeated. The Cyclones are at home, and Texas Tech trying to bounce back after a 1-point loss from TCU.
I forget that Iowa State
Rocco
is good
Beck
this year. Like they're top 12.
Cyclones. I like Iowa State to win this. Maybe Texas Tech keeps it close, but give me the Cyclones. I think Rocco Beck's been playing really good football.
How do you pronounce this guy's first name?
Barron?
Baron Morton. 2,000 passing yards, 17 touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
Yeah. Listen, Jerry Maguire always has good quarterbacks there.
Give me Texas Tech plus 13.5.
Okay, here we go. On the road. Let's see. I mean, UCF almost beat Iowa State at Iowa State, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Indiana's at Michigan State. Curtis Shore, questionable. They expect it. They're hopefully comes back this week. If not, it'll be Taven Walker again. But
Indiana's going to destroy them.
Indiana is trying to move to 8-0.
Indiana's also such a fun team. What would the coach be in like Google
Curtis
me?
Signetti. I mean, to be
baller.
fair, yeah. And there's a lot of Florida fans out there.
There's no chance. Why would you leave? Why would you leave? It doesn't make any sense.
I wouldn't.
Indiana, he just got there.
That's why I don't like. They're talking about like Signetti or even like what's the guy from at Washington? Oh crap, from Arizona.
I don't remember his name.
But anyway, like he just got there.
You know what?
Why would he leave there?
You know what's crazy when you talk to Florida fans? What is our mindset if we beat Ole Miss?
Well, it's just Lane Kiffin's official visit, so I don't know.
What like are you like? Oh, this is great because now Lane Kiffin's going to want to leave Ole Miss.
Depends on if Ole Miss is ranked high enough, they will. The administration's going to extend.
Or are you like?
Okay,
well, I don't know if I want that guy. He just didn't beat us.
I would be worried if you're Florida if they fire Napier because apparently, I mean the players love Napier.
Yeah.
So if they fire him,
I'm terrified about Lagway leaving. But you can't keep a coach just to keep one player.
Well, I mean, the whole locker room likes him.
You're right.
So
I feel like I would never want to take a guy away that you said a locker room is so in tune with, and it feels like he's actually. It's tough because it's his 3rd year, and like he doesn't have a 500 season yet.
No,
with the University of Florida, you
Mm-hmm.
can't be doing that.
Nope.
We're supposed to be. We're a college football blue blood. We have 3 national championships.
Yes. Not since 08, though.
Not since 08. Hey, whoa, wait, before you guys won one 3 years ago, it'd been 40 years. Yeah.
Well, now we're approaching almost 2 decades here for Florida.
We don't have to talk about. We're not. We won one in 2008.
I said approaching 2 decades.
I don't want to talk about
it. Almost 2020. A couple more years.
All
right. Last game here. UCLA's at Nebraska. Nebraska seeking to get to bowl eligibility for the first time since 2016. Did they get it done? They couldn't last year when they were in a similar spot.
UCLA at Nebraska.
UCLA is not very good. Nebraska should get right.
Then yeah, I'll take it. I mean, Dylan Raiola is such a fun guy to watch play football too.
Dante Dow is their running back. He runs the ball really well. They ran the ball really well against Ohio State, so I expect them to roll in this one and
the
get right game for
the
Raiola.
Cornhuskers, 5-3.
Yeah.
I mean, they played a good game against Ohio State. I forget that they just got
annihilated. They led in the
Indiana.
4th quarter, and then they had a chance to win the game late, and then they couldn't.
Indiana just destroying them is crazy. Like they didn't leave.
But to see them bounce back like that, I got a couple more here. So yeah, but to see them bounce back like that after getting smoked and then as a 26-point dog to come back and
you're right,
be winning in the game to have a shot. Say you almost probably should have beat them is really good.
They should have beat them. Yeah.
All right. We got Kentucky at Tennessee. Tennessee wearing the blackout unis, and they are a 16-point favorite. Kentucky is 52nd, again, rush defense. Tennessee's 7th in rush offense with Dylan Sampson. I think Sampson runs wild. Give me the Volunteers to win big.
Tennessee, next game.
Yeah. USC's at Washington. Big 10 game, LOL.
USC at Washington.
How about, here's your fun fact for you. Washington is number 1 in the country in pass defense.
Wild.
So USC wants to throw the ball a bunch. What are we doing? Who are we
what's the spread looking like? Washington is yeah, I'll take Washington. I'll take Washington.
I'll take Washington.
Yeah,
I think Will Rogers is going to step up here.
Yeah.
Wisconsin's at Iowa. The over-under is 40.5. What do you think? Over-under. We'll just say, pick the team you think is going to win, but just say, is the over going to hit or not?
Okay. Obviously, the over's not hitting.
Okay. So
Wisconsin.
We got that one out of the way.
I think Wisconsin.
I like it. Iowa to win.
I mean, Iowa's going to play. Iowa's going to be starting a freshman, right?
Yeah, Brendan Sullivan's been there. Done that.
Oh, okay.
And I think Iowa's a 3-point favorite. So Braden Locke lost my trust last week when he threw a pick 6 to Jalen Reed. Just threw it right to him when all they had to do was not throw an interception. That's partly because I had Wisconsin plus 6.5. Anyway, Navy's at Rice. Let's see if Navy can bounce back here. They turned the ball over 6 times last weekend. It's Notre Dame.
I have to call you out on something real quick.
Oh boy,
are you reading up?
Reading up?
Are you reading
from
the bottom and then reading up?
I'm saving a game for last year.
Oh, okay.
So
because I thought that's just something you naturally do, and I was like, that's kind of insane, man.
No, I usually don't. Navy's at Rice. Like I said, they had 6 turnovers last weekend. They gave up, and I think Notre Dame scored on all possessions that they forced a turnover off of. So, did they get right against food?
Yes.
Okay.
It's Rice.
We need Navy to stay ahead so that it makes
so the Navy Army game has weight.
I want them to meet in the American Conference Championship.
I saw,
and then a week after.
Yeah, I'm about to say that says they play back to back.
So they would play each other in that.
But whoever wins the conference championship would automatically be in, right?
If Boise State stumbles, I think at this point, it'd be Army would backdoor in, and then the playoff field would be set, and then they'd play again the next week in an exhibition game. It's wild stuff right there. All right, and then finally, North Carolina's at FSU. North Carolina's only a 2.5-point favorite. Who do you like in this game?
Who do you think I like?
I don't know. You're the avid Florida State guy. You're Florida State's good luck charm.
In C. I actually,
as someone born in the beautiful state of North Carolina, I would.
You know something I'll never forgive myself for. I went to the game. I am just a bad luck charm. I mean, a good luck charm for FSU.
You're a good luck charm, actually.
I went to the game in 2020 when UNC is a top 5 team.
That
lost
game when
FSU.
they let Notre Dame go into their place and beat them pissed me off.
Wait, what do you mean?
When North Carolina was ranked that high and Notre Dame was really ranked high with Ian Book and all of them, and they just went in there and stomped North Carolina. It really annoyed me. But
UNC smacked FSU around FSU smacked UNC around the first half, and I was like, "What's happening?" And then it was all UNC the second half, and then they threw a pick on like a 3rd or 4th down, and I was there, and all my buddies are like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "I was supposed to come here to see you guys lose against a top 5 team."
So you like Florida State to win this?
No.
Okay.
No.
No. We gave it the best shot there.
No.
Do you think are you surprised the spread's only 2.5?
Yes.
Who's playing quarterback this week for Florida State? Do we know?
Who knows?
Is it Kromenek or
it's either Luke Kromenhoek or Brock Glenn. I would prefer, if I'm an FSU fan, I would just rather go ahead and start getting Kromenhoek snaps. He's good.
He's not bad. That 4th down conversion he had against Miami.
Because I said this.
If they had any help receiver wise and they weren't playing defensive back, they were actually trying to catch the ball, they'd be fine.
I said this to my buddy, and I was like, "You guys are terrible, yes, but you get to do a fun thing that you don't usually get to do. Is you have a true freshman QB who's obviously not that good yet, but you're seeing those flashes. You see those things. You see those couple things a game where you're like,
did you see
this guy's gonna be really good?
See CJ Wiley decommitted from Florida State.
I did not, but
CJ Wiley, was like Florida State's golden gem according to their fans.
Their draft class
is probably going to be heading to the class.
Or not draft class, sorry, recruiting class. It's just going to hit a wall.
Oh yeah,
it already has.
It's probably going to be heading to the Classic City. I
don't even think they're going to finish with a top 50 class.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, but we'll see. I mean, Norvell, he hasn't statistically been record-wise very good without Jordan Travis. So we'll have to wait and see if they can bounce back. I doubt that.
He's Jordan Travis merchant. He can't develop talent.
No. All right. Any final comments there around the country? Do we miss any games that you want to talk about that we didn't say?
No, I think I'm good. I know
you're an avid Hawaii fan. We didn't talk about Hawaii, but so
I saw that. I would think Boise. I mean, it's not worth talking about. Boise State's going to kill San Diego State.
Does
I love
Ashton
watching
Genty
Ashton
rush
Genty
for over
play.
150 yards? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, it's crazy to me that someone has more rushing touchdowns than Ashton Genty. It's a quarterback.
That's Bryson.
He's
That's Bryson Daly for you.
19. He's
Bryson Daly.
900 rushing yards.
Turn on that East Carolina game. Watch him. He put a spin move on this guy and walked into the end zone. It was sweet.
I saw that actually. I
watched it. I was like, ooh. All right, moving on here to our final spot here. Show has been incredibly long. This is one of the longest episodes all time here in the 89th episode. This is going to be. But make sure you guys are subscribing to the podcast because we'll get more guests like Christian to come on, and maybe we'll get a sponsor along the way.
We'll do it. I'd love to come back. I've been enjoying myself.
Yeah, this is the first time on the camera for you.
Oh yeah, so. Yeah. I've done a couple like
audio
on my own. I've done like
on the camera.
Yeah, barely. Okay. I did one like a year ago for the store I work at, which was like me doing like a 15-minute like preview of the season last year. Projected us to go 9-3, went 5-7.
There we go.
But like, no one wants to watch me say like we're gonna go 6-6.
Are you worried? So here's another one. Actually, I'll talk about this real quick. So you fire Napier.
Yes.
But you have to play the same schedule next year with a trip to Miami and USF coming in.
Also, okay, fine. You know what?
Would you fire him, Napier? Or would you let him hang around until next year and then start fresh with a new schedule the year after?
I'm glad I have this platform to talk about this because Napier is an issue.
Here, should I just like get out of the frame here?
Yeah, sure.
Put it on you right here before we get into best bets.
Napier is an issue. He's not the problem. Hear me. Napier is an issue. He's not the problem. The entire UAA needs to be fired. The entire UAA needs to be fired. Fun fact I saw. And these are going to be rough numbers. Okay, these are going to be rough numbers. Coaches still at the University of Florida. Coaches hired by Jeremy Foley, the previous AD, are somewhere around 350 plus wins and around 80 losses and have 23 national championships in the last 15 years. In that same time, coaches hired by Scott Strickland are 75 and I believe 280 with 0 national championships. If that's not an alarming stat, I don't know what is. I think you gotta get rid of the whole snake and you start by cutting the head off, which is Scott Strickland. I've met Scott. He's a nice guy. This isn't anything on him personally. I just don't want him to be the AD at my school anymore. Thank you for the time.
All right, so we're back in here now. So Christian just did his rant why Scott Strickland should be fired, but
he's a nice guy.
Interim President Ken Funks. Said the name right?
I think so.
I can't. That's the problem. Is mispronounce it.
Is like we just have so much happening at the school.
He was president when they hired Napier, so they're not going to fire him. You would think.
The thing is, I also think Strickland and Napier are a package deal. I think when one goes, they're both going to go. Mm-hmm. But I think the reason Napier hasn't been fired yet is I think they're going to get fired at the same time. And I think they're trying to like, because you can't just over one night fire your head coach and your AD.
Yeah,
like that's got to be a planned out process.
All right, heading on down to our final spot here. Best bets as we wrap the show up. Degenerate gambling time. Just want to let everyone know that on this podcast, we were 26-13 on the year. We had a down week last week, but we stay humble, but we've been red hot since then. We actually still have had, this is now 5 straight winning weeks since we were 500 last week on the pod. So looking for another great weekend. I'll do my picks first, and then we'll do Christian's.
Do you have one of these that you would say is like your
the mortal lock?
Yes, your mortal lock.
So here's my mortal lock or my bets for the week. So I have TCU +3, Tennessee -16, Army -23.5, Georgia, Florida over 52, and then Clemson-Louisville over 63. From these picks, my best bet would probably be the Army one. I've been a wagon on Army.
I like that.
Tennessee -16 is another one.
Especially now knowing that. Should I be betting?
You bet whatever you want. I put money lines on.
Should I be putting money on the Army quarterback to score rushing touchdown?
If there's a prop bet for it, maybe. If there's any good value,
that has to be like not even like that has to be like -250 or something like that.
Possibly. But listen, that's those are my picks. So you guys take it what you want, though. But if you guys want to make money, I've been pretty good lately.
TCU +3. That's a gamble right there.
They're
that's
on the
one
road
you
at
have to
Baylor.
like.
They beat they beat Texas Tech last week. I like this spot. Give me the Sunny Dykes Horned Frogs. All right, now is time for Mr. Christian's best bets.
So
what do we have here?
So here's the thing, right? I think all of the bets I have are games we've talked about.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited with that. First off, Texas A&M -2.5. I was preaching on it. We were talking about the game. The fact that this spread is 2.5 feels like taking candy from a baby.
You're all over A&M.
I am all over A&M this game. All right. Second game, another game that I think it's not even fair that this game has this spread. Auburn is -7 against Vandy. An Auburn team that, while we saw beat a Kentucky team last week, they have not been good this season. They have probably been the opposite of a good football team. And they're giving Vandy 7 points? 7?
Mm-hmm.
Are you serious?
It's wild.
So, Vandy +7. Third bet. I have one more bet before my lock. SMU-Pitt over 58.5. That just feels free. I said it when we were talking about it. That's going to be a game I feel.
Didn't you pick the under though in the game?
No.
Oh,
I said during the game, I said that's going to be a race to 40. I think whichever team.
What was it again?
58.5.
58.5.
I think that's so free. And then my lock of the week.
Okay.
A bet I take every single week. Whoever is playing FSU
on this weekend,
on this week's episode of whoever is playing FSU, UNC -2.5. I think UNC is going to destroy FSU and destroy. I think they're going to cover the spread. I think UNC is not an elite football team, but FSU is possibly the worst team in college football.
They're up there as one of the worst ones.
Probably bottom 5. I don't think it might not even be debatable bottom 5. But UNC -2.5. That's my lock.
All right. We'll see if they hit. There you go. So there's Christian's bets −2.5. A&M Vanderbilt +7. SMU-Pitt over 58.5 and UNC -2.5. Once again, here are my bets: TCU +3, Tennessee -16, Army the Black Knights 23.5. Overs in the Florida Georgia game. Clemson, Louisville. I like the over in 63 in that spot. There was also other picks, but these ones are going to be the best bets on the podcast. So
I'm gonna see what I can do. I'm gonna toss a parlay on all of your bets and all of my bets.
See, that feels like you're jinxing it right there. Then.
Well, I'm gonna
the college football talk parlay.
I'm gonna straight bet mine, but I'm gonna make all of them a parlay.
If it hits, you just have to keep profit.
Oh my gosh, I would have to come on next week just to like pop in and be like, the parlay hit.
We'll be here Wednesdays.
The parlay hit. That's it. That's all I want to say. You're welcome, everyone.
Listen,
told to make the parlay.
If it's a winning weekend, you might as well just hop back on. Listen, we'll make you the annual recurring guest.
If I'm 4-0, I might have to come back next week.
There we go. If it's how about 0 or 1 losses? You got to come.
Yeah, maybe.
All right. That is going to be it for Week 10 preview. We eclipsed 2 hours and 7 minutes. Unfortunately, that's not fortunately. We had a great time on here. We want to thank Christian again for coming on, spending his time, giving up some of his time here on this glorious Wednesday in beautiful Gainesville, Florida.
Very much appreciated it. I liked picking the mind of a Georgia fan, seeing what goes on in your dirty brain, your bulldog brain.
Listen, I'm an avid ball. We're all ball in this podcast.
Yes. No, that's fair. You definitely you were I feel like the majority of Georgia fans I would talk to would have been putting a lot of their personal bias in it. And I say that I picked Florida to beat you guys.
All right. Now we stay clear here on this podcast. We love it. We appreciate everyone. If we had more fans of all other kinds, we'd bring them on. But wanted the Florida fan on for the cocktail party, just get the insight. What are we thinking from the Florida side? But this is the biggest guy we know in Florida fandom. So I do appreciate it again. Make sure you guys are subscribing to the podcast at College Football Talk on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, we're on as well. So, and then on Twitter at DeLauder Hunter, Instagram Hunter.DeLauder83. Christian, is there any final words you want to say here before we sign off for the day?
I think I'm good. I enjoyed talking to everyone, being Hunter, and I hope I'll probably end up coming back at some point. But
Awesome.
I had a great time.
Awesome. I appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Have a good one, guys.